30 or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
11, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Discover. If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover. Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back. Terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC. Only one major problem this morning, and it's causing some delays already. It's in Bolingbrook. Joliet Road northbound to the Veterans Memorial Toll Road. Access is shut down for ongoing resurfacing work. It's going to be in that state until Sunday, the 22nd. Drivers will still be able to exit on the northbound 55. By the way, there's going to be ongoing road work there beginning Monday, the 23rd. So late season paving causing problems at Joliet Road and the Veterans Memorial Toll Road this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A bit of a damp start this morning. It'll be a cloudy day. High today 57, partly cloudy tonight, low 43, and then mostly sunny for tomorrow. A high at 61. Partly sunny, very nice day on Wednesday. The high at 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
52 at O'Hare, light rain, and 52 along the lakefront. 51 in Wheeling and 50 in Naperville. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
I'd love to have you take us up on our HealthQuest special offer. It's a simple saliva test that requires no blood, just spit. It's our adrenal stress index test. So you think you can handle that stress of yours? Well, our adrenal stress index test will tell us how your body is handling this thing called stress. And we're bound to uncover vital information that could save your life long before symptoms surface through disease. So here's what you got to do. Call our HealthQuest radio hotline, and if you're one of our first 5 callers, you'll receive your adrenal stress index test at 1/2 our special low price, only if you call today. And then we'll also hold that same special price for your second follow-up adrenal stress index test. For more information, call our HealthQuest radio hotline at 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
It's HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
Join us for the Bank the Blue Gala on Friday, October 27th at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. Welcome address by Masters of Ceremonies Fox 32 anchor Anita Padilla and sports anchor Lou Canellis as we raise both awareness and funds for our heroes in blue that need our support. Bank the Blue is a nonprofit organization that funds confidential mental health services and officer wellness programs for Illinois law enforcement officers. Local departments alone are unable to provide the mental health wellness services that their officers so desperately need. The goal of this event is to build awareness surrounding the importance of officer wellness, to combat the stigma associated with officers and mental health, and to fundraise for this important cause. We anticipate 1,000 attendees from both the law enforcement and civilian communities. The 3rd annual Bank the Blue fundraising gala is on Friday, October 27th at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Corporate sponsorship opportunities and individual tickets are available. Visit bankthebluegala.com for more details. That's bankthebluegala.com.
Are you looking for an interview podcast where you can be entertained and informed? Come check out our new podcast, America's Talking, to hear conversations with great stand-up comedians like Mark Normand.
Norm made you feel smarter than him, even though he was smarter than you.
As well as with leaders in the United States, like former Ambassador Andrew Bremberg.
I remember the fall of the evil empire. When the wall fell, every adult I saw was crying.
I'm your host, Austin Berg, and I want you to join the conversation on our new podcast, America's Talking, right now on Spotify.
Are you looking for a new podcast where you can get your national news from a taxpayer's perspective? Check out the America in Focus podcast featuring the Center Square's Dan McCaleb.
This jobs report, in some ways, it contradicts what I'm seeing anecdotally.
And Casey Harper.
And it's not just the economy. He has a 28% approval on the economy, but he also has 36% approval on foreign policy.
Find America in Focus wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. That's America in Focus, a news podcast from a taxpayer's perspective.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and our technical producer, Justin Kosek, got married over the weekend, I understand. And so I just have one question. Were there tears?
Yes, there were tears.
I'm talking about from him, not you.
How did you know I cried? Did somebody tell you that I had to grab a tissue? It's this. It's the music, and when the bride walks down the aisle, it's so
What did they walk
romantic.
down the aisle to?
I don't
Levitating?
know. I don't know. Not
That was my call. I think that I expected the wedding to be heavy on Dua Lipa, including the ceremony. But
no, it was just some orchestra song. It was beautiful though, and the wedding. They wanted it outside, but the weather, determined it was going to be inside. But it was just as pretty, and it was just as romantic and special. And you know what, Dan? These two are going to make it.
You still haven't answered my question.
What? Did Justin cry?
Yes.
Yes, he did. Okay.
I don't think so.
I think he cried during the mom-son dance for sure, because I was keeping my eye on that.
That's how the key is, and this is a lesson for all you out there. If the groom cries during the taking of the vows, then it's not going to go. Okay. It's not going to last, and that's what I want to know.
Yeah, no, he did not cry during the vows.
Okay, all right, good.
But they exchanged vows at 1:30 in the afternoon privately before we all got there. So
did they recreate that for the audience?
I don't think so. No.
Was there a mass?
No, there was not a mass. It was not. It was at Villa Olivia, and that was a beautiful room. It was in the ski lodge area.
Sure.
And,
familiar with it.
No, it was not. There was one reading.
No mass. I think that also cuts against survival. But okay, all right. At least he didn't cry, or we have no physical evidence that he cried. Then maybe they got a chance.
His dad mentioned you during his speech to his son.
Really?
He said, "Yeah."
Good. I hope you grow up to be like Dan Proft. I mean, other than being married, of course.
No, he just said that my son Justin has worked with radio greats such as Dick Biondi, Johnny B. Proft.
Wow.
So congratulations.
In no particular order.
No.
I definitely second fiddle to Dick Biondi, but that's nice. That's very nice. Thank you, Mr. Kosick.
But
I
we
appreciate
missed you.
Shout out.
Yes.
I was mourning the loss of Suzanne Summers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could not attend, but yeah. So a terrible Thighmaster accident, as I understand it, or something along those lines. But so give us more color on the wedding, since some of our listeners were not invited, and it couldn't accommodate everyone. Some people can't cover their plate like you can.
I need Mike Scott to help out about the wedding, because Mike Scott and his lovely wife were at the table with us.
Working. Actually.
Oh, you're working?
Yes.
Oh,
were you bartending?
Yes. No, we're not going to talk about the lack of appetizers, but
Let's talk about it.
No,
we were
we
were starving, because they said, we had an itinerary, and Melissa pulled out the itinerary and said we were supposed to get appetizers.
My wife.
From 5 to 6, right? Wasn't that or 6 to 7?
6 to 7.
Yeah, and we were
when the bar was open.
Starving, Dan.
Did the bar open on time? The important
bar
question.
did open on time.
All right,
in fact, they literally had a countdown watch on when the bar was.
Says a lot about the attendees, doesn't it?
And the bar was open for 5 hours, 5.5 hours.
That's pretty strong. I could substitute an extra hour of the bar for appetizers. That would not bother me.
Well,
I would not be offended by that.
Eric, our boss here, one of our technical producer bosses, he and his lovely wife, she went and got out goldfish, because she's a soccer mom, and so
Danielle was at a volleyball tournament
yeah,
all
so
day
we
long.
we each split.
Oh, so the appetizers were ready, but they didn't have wait staff?
No, there was no. So I went to do some investigating,
Confusion.
Dan, and I talked to some of the employees that work there. I said, "Hey, are the appetizers coming?" And she said, "No, there's no appetizers." So
no appetizers.
No.
Then the place went up for grabs, like Airplane, when they found out there was no coffee.
Yes.
I told Dan. Yes. I told Mike.
Wasn't there like
flip the table over right now?
Wasn't there an Arby's or something close by?
Well,
somebody could have run to.
Actually, no.
We thought about that.
We thought about it for just a minute. It was at Villa Olivia, which was a fantastic place.
Beautiful.
Out in Bartlett. But no, nothing nearby except for a Toyota dealer. That was like it along the road there. So nothing close.
All right. So then how did this end? Just goldfish from Danielle, and that was what had to hold people over?
I thought about drinking the salad dressing ladle that was on the table.
I mean, have you guys not eaten for a week in advance of this? I mean, really, you couldn't survive an hour without appetizers?
I didn't eat prior to the wedding. Never do that again. And I normally have bars, fig bars, and power bars in my car. I had nothing. So, no, but it was great.
A harrowing tale of survival. Yeah.
We made it through.
And the food was great. The
Once-
wedding was great.
Yes.
Justin did not cry, in my opinion.
No,
Good.
he
All
cried
right.
for the
He
mother.
cried the day before.
I'm going with the newsman's
fine.
recounting of this.
But he
yeah.
did cry the day before.
Oh, yeah.
Cry the day
during rehearsal.
Oh, he did. There was a rehearsal dinner which he cried.
Apparently.
Did he cry? When did he cry? It's important when
This
the
is an
crying
important
happens.
when. I do not know when. I cannot isolate that. It was divulged to me. Sources close to Justin told me there were tears during the rehearsal, but
Was
not during
it during a toast?
Don't know.
You don't
I
know.
do not know.
Well,
Sources were not clear.
But Somersault was there. His dog was part of the wedding. And
We'll
I love
update
his
you.
family.
We'll update you on the Justin crying situation as information becomes available.
Yes, that's true. But
Yeah.
Bethany looked beautiful, his bride, and she's so fun. I just think they're going to be a great couple, and I think that they're going to make it. Don't you, Mike?
And again, this was all checked
They
out, right?
better.
They're both of legal age to marry in the state of Illinois.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Oh,
Yeah,
they're young,
Bethany.
so I
Bethany will hold things together very tightly as a trained counselor.
Yes.
I think not only that, we should probably bring her in for a little team meeting. Too.
Holding things together very tightly. Another reason why Dan Proft is single. I can translate that, Mike. I know what that means. Yes, holding things together very tightly.
It was fun, and this dancing was fun. I'm sore from dancing. We had a great time because Quinn was there and his beautiful wife, and she is so fun. And Quinn could dance. Did you know that?
Did you do your Fred Berry rerun?
Oh my
dance.
No, we did that dance with a step once to the right. You know that
The
song?
electric slide.
It was kind of it's the
No, it's the one that the guy from South Side of Chicago invented.
The hokey pokey.
crisscross. Everybody,
Oh
clap
yeah.
your hands.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Fun. It was nice.
And
there was a
Quinn-
Congo line that you missed out on, Dan. We Congoed.
Oh gosh. And
everything you hate.
And Quinn got drunk
Dan
and
missed it.
Quinn got drunk and made a spectacle of himself. Is that what happened?
No, Quinn
Oh.
doesn't drink, but he did make a spectacle of himself. You don't.
He doesn't drink.
No, Quinn doesn't drink at all.
He's Irish.
Well, this just
There's a story there. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know what it is, but there's a story there.
Longtime barkeep, I think he just gravitated away from it as he served everybody else.
I don't know how you. I know. He's like tight with Buddy Guy. I don't know how a guy tight with Buddy Guy, living in the club life for as long as he did until we saved him, doesn't have a few pops when the occasion presents itself.
We will try. We'll attempt to uncover the I-560 investigative team. Will find.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's more to this story, and but I like the Chuck Gowdy like teasing.
Yeah.
Mike, very good.
Well done.
All right, very good. Just sensational enough.
And now he's on his honeymoon for the next week.
And we're
it's that island off of. Oh my God, starts
yeah.
with a C.
Michael Jordan graduated with a major in geography. Amy Jacobson did not. So the
Carousel.
Wait.
They're in Carousel.
Oh, Carousel. So Panama. Are they going to the canal?
I told him
Somebody's
to.
got to help down there.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's starting to dry up down there.
I've been down there. It's Panama City, and I went to the canal. It's quite breathtaking. It's not nearly as wide as you think.
No, it's tiny. I went there too. Did you? All right, now when you went to the Panama Canal, did you watch the 7-minute movie that they had you go to before?
No.
Oh, I told him to go, and I'm like, if anything, watch that 7-minute movie.
I wanted to get through like the little canal tour so I can get back and see more of the monkeys. And also, when I went, I think Noriega was still in prison there, not far away. So I wanted to stop by and see how he was doing as well.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, very good. Thanks for the update. Now I feel like I attended. But again, most importantly for Justin, I did attend in the form of a check.
Yes, you did. And they're very appreciative, by the way.
Yeah. Well, that's what radio greats like me and Dick Biondi and Johnny B do, Amy.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, 5:38. We need to return to bigger local news than just our marriages on our team here. BLM Brandon and other alderhumans are making a break for the border this week, 5:38.
And later, if he hated Palestinians so much, why did he rent a room to them? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
52 degrees, light rain showers in Chicago. 5:30 is our time. And America's top diplomat is in Israel at this hour. Fighting continues between the IDF and Palestinian terror groups tied to Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Tel Aviv this morning after a weekend of meetings and shuttle diplomacy with leaders in the region.
To other places, work on securing the release of hostages, including American citizens, address the humanitarian crisis that exists in Gaza.
He's expected to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his newly formed war cabinet on his second visit to the country in just a few days. A vote for the new Speaker of the House is expected at noon. Noon Tuesday. House Democrat Whip Catherine Clark says the vote for Representative Jim Jordan will happen. Right now, it's unclear if Jordan will gather enough votes to secure the position. While the GOP holds a majority in the House, only 4 votes can be sacrificed for a win for Jordan. Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in China this week. Moscow and Beijing say the visit is aimed at deepening the partnership between Washington's 2 biggest strategic competitors. Rite Aid is filing for bankruptcy. Pharmacy chain filed for Chapter 11 protection Sunday, facing declining sales and more than 1,000 lawsuits linked to the opioid crisis. A landlord in Will County is facing murder and hate crime charges after authorities say he stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death and severely wounded his mother. Deputies were called out Saturday to a home along South Lincoln Highway in Plainfield Township after a woman called 911 claiming her landlord had attacked her with a knife.
He loved his parents. He loved his family and his friends. He loved life.
Deputies located Joseph Chuba sitting outside on the ground with a laceration to his forehead. Authorities then found Wadia El Fuyumi and his mother Hanan Shaheen with stab wounds inside the home. Both were sent to the hospital where the boy later died.
We consider ourselves to be a real part of the American society. We are here to build. We are helping. We are doing the best of what we can.
President Biden sent condolences to the family. Meantime, heightened security and police presence continues at synagogues and Jewish neighborhoods throughout the U.S. and here in the Chicago area. The FBI and local law enforcement were on especially high alert. A number of synagogues were closed on Friday and conducted virtual services. Many synagogues that did hold in-person services reported high attendance under extremely tight security after threats from Muslim and other communities. Dozens from the Israeli and Jewish community gathered in Evanston's Fountain Square to pray for and demand the release of more than 100 hostages abducted by Hamas terrorists. Oren Orkin was one of the organizers.
The more people hear about it, the more pressure they can put on, our governors, state reps, senators, anybody that can do something.
Evanston's Judith Renan and her 17-year-old daughter Natalie, who are from Evanston, are among the dozens of people believed to be held hostage by Hamas. A fire broke out at an over 100-year-old church in the East Side neighborhoods near Avenue L and 103rd over the weekend. Fire began at the historic Advocate United Church of Christ Friday evening into Saturday morning. No one was in the building. No injuries reported. Senior Pastor Malcolm Griffin was in the building Friday afternoon.
Ironically, even we was here to meet the building code inspector. We just passed the inspection, and so everything was fine.
The church appears to be a total loss. Bears lost in more ways than one yesterday. Starting quarterback Justin Fields was injured during the third quarter of Chicago's 19-13 loss to the Vikings. Fields apparently dislocated a thumb. Tyson Bagent replaced Fields, promptly fumbled, leading to a Viking touchdown. Blackhawks unable to overcome 3 second-period goals. In a 3-2 loss to Montreal on Saturday, they visit the Maple Leafs later tonight. 5:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka can see the truth.
We now know that in the first 12 months, under the Biden open border regime, more than 110,000
100,000 Americans were killed from illicit drugs, including fentanyl. And that is a direct result of the man who's aiding and abetting the cartels from the White House.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hope Wins is a nonprofit organization dedicated to share hope and end the devastation addiction brings to families. Visit our website, hopewins7.org. We present to high schools, middle schools, and organizations our son Keenan's story of addiction, his death, and the ripple effect it has on the whole family. It is our family's hope to convey eliminating stigma, the power of decision-making, the power of hope. We discuss that going to a drug and alcohol rehab is no different than someone going to a cancer center in hope of a cure. They both want to get well. We talk about the truth of heroin and addictive drugs. We talk about mental health through a tattoo of Keenan's, that there are some things we need to accept, things we have to have the courage to change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keenan's story in his own handwriting is at hopewins7.org.
At TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights, we offer several complimentary reports proactive investors should take advantage of before year-end. Our Social Security Optimization Report shows couples how to possibly get up to $200,000 or more in additional lifetime benefits. Our Retirement Account Tax Optimization Report shows how to minimize the tax bill on your 401k and IRAs. This report could help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars or more in taxes over your lifetime. Our risk analysis makes sure your portfolio is in alignment with your goals. The Protect and Grow Written Plan brings all of these items together. Call now to request any of these free reports before the end of year rush puts proactive planning for this year in the rearview mirror. Contact TJ Stearns Financial Planning today. The first 10 callers right now will also receive a free copy of the new book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. Call now to receive your free retirement report and book. 847-749-2295. That's 847-749-2295. Or visit tjstearns.com.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC.
It seems like everyone is on a complicated diet these days. Gluten-free, keto, metabolic, sugar-free. And with these diets comes special dietary protocol and food products. You can find plenty of advice on your social media sites, but you need expertise to purchase the right food items. A visit to Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop is necessary to shop the best food choices for a medical diet or health plan. Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop stocks all the hard-to-find foods you're looking for, like wheat and dairy alternatives, sugar-free baking mixes, healthy snacks, and more. There's no longer a reason to put off that diet you're supposed to be on when you have Lil's. The staff has personally researched and vetted each item in the store and has plenty of choices in stock.
Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop on 111th Street in Mount Greenwood on the south side of Chicago. Stop in and shop in person or order online at lilsdietary.com and get your items shipped right to your home. lilsdietary.com. Shop, learn, and be healthy.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
5:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. Kennedy inbound already 26 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Kennedy outbound delayed between I-90 and Manheim. Lots of folks getting out early and rushing to the big airport. Stevenson 27 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go already on I-57 between Vollmer and I-80 as you head north to the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A damp morning ahead, otherwise cloudy most of the day, high 57. Partly cloudy and 43 overnight. Sunshine tomorrow. 52 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. BLM Brandon and some older humans reportedly finally heading to the border this week, to get to root causes. They need to see things for themselves, get a handle on the situation at the border first person so they know how to address the situation in Chicago. And again, make Chicago a model for the rest of the country in order to strike that delicate balance between welcoming and law and order, which, of course, BLM Brandon is so adept at striking. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. But what we really need from BLM Brandon is a pitch, right? We don't want to be considered an unwelcoming city. We've heard these reports. Catholic Charities of San Antonio tried to encourage the migrants they were flying to Chicago on your dime, federal money, to pick other places but Chicago. But, hey, we can't force people. So we don't want to be an unwelcoming city. In point of fact, we want to be the most welcoming city. So what is the pitch that BLM Brandon should make so that more migrants choose Chicago? Because isn't that what we want?
312-642-5600. You could also reach us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I mean, I don't know. He and his wife, who's, he let everybody know that he's got a black wife and black children. Hopefully they figured out the soccer schedules, because that's what he said. He's like, I'm different than other mayors. I've got a wife and kids. We have soccer schedules. Give me a break.
So part of the pitch, it seems to me, in terms of the expanse of benefits and opportunities, is the rental assistance the state is providing, mainly in Chicago, but not limited to it. This is part of the monies that your elected leaders in Springfield, starting with Jelly Belly, but including the full complement of constitutional officers as well as legislative leaders and all the rank and file. The members of the Hamas caucus in the General Assembly, suburbanites like Robin Ventura and Anastava Murray out there in Naperville. Well, they're on this job, too. They're not just, out there to shame Israel and act as a propaganda arm for Hamas. They're also here to provide benefits to make it more attractive for migrants to make their way to Chicago. So this rental assistance, were you aware of this piece of the
No, I want to hear about
the benefit package, and including where there are going to be 10 cities. Every ward has to come up with a 2-acre plot to house migrants. Is it going to be buildings in the Loop, rentals, corporate buildings that are retrofitted, 10 city in Northern Ireland? What are we doing here? Nobody seems to know, but I know this. The state is funding temporary housing, including rented apartments and homes for migrants. The state is providing up to $9,000 in rental assistance over a 6-month period, which includes assistance with moving in and a starter kit to furnish the apartment.
Oh, that's so nice.
$9,000, so that's $1,500 a month for 6 months, plus a rental assistance, plus a starter kit to furnish your apartment. This is what they call welcoming. What adjective would you use to describe something like this, number one? And then part B of the question, what else should BLM Brandon offer migrants to come to Chicago instead of, say, choosing New York? Because New York's got a bit of a lead on us right now, and we need to close that gap. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. $9,000 in rental assistance over 6 months. Moving in assistance, starter kit to furnish the apartment. And you see the thinking behind this is people will have started their legal process, secured legal work authorization, and be able to sustain that apartment. So the cost, or I guess the payment toward the landlord, is based on market rate. It's based on the configuration of the apartment, how many rooms, where it's located, all those things. And so it varies from place to place, said alderhuman turned deputy mayor Passion Zayas. Deputy chief of staff, I should say. Same difference. You got it? Make sense?
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, maybe the migrants can party on Lower Wacker with the rest of the citizens of Chicago.
Certainly the fun times
Ugh.
that the kids making silly decisions are having in Lower Wacker and elsewhere may make it attractive. It's a fun city.
Yes, it's welcoming, fun, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not bad.
It's never boring. You know, you can march with Palestinian protesters on the Mag Mile and then go down and see a drag race on Lower Wacker all in the same evening. It's wonderful.
We're phasing in that that minimum wage requirement for tipped workers, but that's over 5 years to get to $18 an hour. So I don't know if that's attractive enough. The employment they're talking about, this gives you 6 months to get gainfully employed and then be self-sustaining. And of course, that's how it's going to happen. Sure, it is. The make work jobs that BLM Brandon included in his fairy tale document called the city budget for the coming fiscal year. Mm-hmm. What do you have? 4,000 money allegedly for 4,000 annualized jobs the city is somehow going to create, meaning patronage jobs, traffic management aides, and the like. How many of those should go? Maybe if you could really set those aside for migrants, like you're setting aside housing assistance for migrants, maybe that would make it more attractive. Because then they can, start not only working and getting a living wage, but you also start to, build up your pension benefits, which is important. I'm just trying to think what else could make it more attractive. What do we do to induce people to get the jab? Maybe some gift cards, concert tickets, Uber, free Uber rides.
Six Flags. We had Six Flags Great America.
Amusement parks.
Amusement park. You had the $50 gift card, then the $100 gift cards. That was nice. Yeah. We have given them bikes and clothes. They have 3 meals a day. The nicest of baby carriers for the baby.
Well, again, welcoming, but is it welcoming enough? Are we doing enough is my question.
Because remember BLM Brandon, when he said he was going to the border, he was going there to tell them, to convince them to come. Whereas Mayor Adams was going there to tell them, no, you're not going to be staying in a 5-star hotel. What you've been told is a lie. So they had 2 completely different agendas.
Yeah, it's the same. It's just a little bit different spin on it. But yeah, no, I mean, that's what we want. We want BLM Brandon to convince people to come. So I'm just saying, is this enough of an attraction to get as many migrants as we can get? Which, of course, is the number is infinity. There is no number that is too big. There is no benefit that is too generous.
Well, more buses came overnight. We have 18,000 so far. New York has 132,000, and we're heading toward New York number.
I mean, there's no limiting principle here, because there's no those who are awaiting an asylum application adjudication. No, there's no limiting principle on the benefits. There's no limiting principle according to our electeds as to who may come, from where they come, how many come, what they bring, what they want to do. There's nothing that limits their imagination when it comes to people coming to this country and, by extension, this city, vying to be the most welcoming. So, I mean, let's get right to it. I don't want to slow walk this. I don't want to lose out to New York. You know what I mean?
Dan, a text message. Dan and Amy, Medicaid, Medicare, undocumented. They are seeing doctors and getting services while us citizens wait.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, definitely front of the line. They get like the Disney Speed Pass. Definitely front of the line for public services. But I just feel like that's not quite enough. So I mean,
they get van rides to schools and the doctor's appointments. I don't think you're right.
Yeah, I still think you got to sweeten the pot. Those are sort of just the accommodations for everyday living. We don't want them just to exist. We want them to really live You know what I mean? 30% of migrants in Chicago are children. The majority of them are attending Chicago public schools.
We needed them. We needed those numbers. We needed those chairs filled.
I'm thinking these kids should be in private school.
Okay.
You know, or definitely selective enrollment. I don't like just this dispersing them among the system writ large, because some of the schools, I don't know if you've heard, some of the schools in CPS are subpar.
Yeah, this just in. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, Peyton. I'm thinking
Northside Prep. Let's go. Let's selective enrollment schools. See how much you really care.
We definitely Whitney and Kenwood. I'd like to get Supich in here too, because he's a big proponent of open borders. So I mean, get them into Ignatius and some of the better Catholic schools. I mean, send them down to Mount Carmel, Brother Rice,
Loyola. Send them up to Loyola.
St. Lawrence. Yeah, send them. Well, obviously too. I mean, then expand it to Loyola Academy, to Bennett. All the suburban Catholic schools as well. I mean, that have the leadership that is fully aligned with BLM branded. And by the way, that includes the Joliet Diocese from everything I've seen. So it's not just Supich in the city, it's also the Joliet Diocese. So that's a lot of private Catholic schools. That's a lot of capacity. Lake Forest Academy, a lot of the non-sectarian hoity-toity schools to get them involved here. Again, I'm just trying to
sweeten the pot. I know what you're doing.
You're
a great marketing person.
Well, and again, the welcoming sash is who we are, so I want to wear it proudly, and of course, honestly, with integrity. Because if there's one thing that we know about the electeds in Chicagoland, and a lot of their sort of sycophants in the nonprofit and private sector, they're a bunch that's really consumed with being people of integrity. And so I don't want to lose that. This is something we need to jealously guard. This is our reputation that's at stake here. Linda in Palos Heights, around Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. I think we should offer, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Blue Apron, just so that they don't have to go out in the food desert to try and search out food.
Right. Thanks for the call, Linda. Well, again, I mean, they wouldn't need to be concerned about food deserts if we had them, properly located on the Gold Coast. Move some of the people who've had their run of white privilege at the Hancock Building and some of these other Tony condo buildings. Move them out. They can stay on the near south and west sides and places like that. I mean, you maybe creatively use eminent domain for this public good. Fair compensation, of course. Len in Highland Park.
Good morning. The unintended brilliance of the Democrats is the fact that all these people are going to be centralized. So when the Republicans take over the presidency and Congress and the Senate, we can send them all back because we'll know where to find them. And I'll let you elaborate on that one.
Thanks for the call, Len. I don't know. I mean, by then they'll have graduated from Francis Parker. They'll know how to use sex toys. They'll be on their way. Then they'll be fully integrated into the culture here. Many of them will probably be elected to posts like, I don't know, mayor of Naperville, Hinsdale. They'll probably be running school boards in Downers Grove and Glen Ellen. So, which is great. We're not just a welcoming city, we're a welcoming state.
And we got a great text message. Dan and Amy, give them a VIP card to the new Brandon Johnson government-run stores.
Yeah. I see a season pass to the Obama golf course that apparently is not going to get built. But in the event it does. Trying to think again. Maybe we could work something out with Joe Perillo for some of those fancy cars.
Oh, and speaking of cars, Dan and Amy, special migrant parking. Put it ahead of handicap and senior citizen parking.
I like migrant parking. I like that. Yeah, that's the kind of status that we're conferring that I think is a value add. I think that's a separator. people, you know, you got your own parking spot or parking designation. Now you know you're sort of somebody. I like that. Paul and Carrie.
Good morning. In all seriousness, I am calling on behalf of myself, who I am white, and my white wife and 2 white children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is
Thank you for identifying the race like BLM Brandon does. Yeah, we appreciate that.
No, but of course. In all seriousness, on the side note, you're talking about eminent domain. Perhaps we could subfinance all of our Cook County farms and maybe collaring farms, since the primary crop is corn and it's not labor intensive, convert those to lettuce, because we're told that's all they do is pick lettuce. We could perhaps facilitate more jobs for these people.
Thanks for the call, Paul. George, Naperville.
How about a scavenger hunt? Who can find the Christopher Columbus statues, and they get free food for life?
All right, thanks for the call. I think we're going to have to sweeten the prizes a little bit. I mean, the free food for life is already built in.
That's already there.
I would think that, something, the sports and cultural offerings that people seem to like so much so that they don't have to pay attention to the disintegration of their city and state. So, but, I don't know what the market value is for, like, Bears tickets these days. Maybe Hawks. I'm maybe not a lot of hockey fans, but, Connor Bedard's very exciting. I don't know. What's going on at the Lyric? Tom and Oswego.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Sorry to bring a serious note to this conversation, but I think we really need to figure out what's going on. I'm in the middle class, self-employed. I've got 2 young boys. Both live in Naperville. One is trying to upgrade to a 2-bedroom apartment. Can't even get approved for a $300 increase. He's an attorney, Dan. My other son, who's got a master's degree in human resources, getting married this Friday, they're struggling to pay their 2-bedroom rent, and they both make decent money. Every morning I wake up, I'm getting squeezed, and it's getting frustrating. I know I'm bringing the conversation down here, but I'm bringing it real. We better start really understanding what's going on, because there's going to be a flashpoint somewhere, and I don't know where or what it's going to look like. But people like myself who have to get up on a Monday morning and try to figure out how I'm going to make money today, how I'm going to collect money, how I'm going to earn money, and then I hear this kind of stuff, I don't want to turn the radio off because I love listening to you guys, but I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, you do.
And my other kids, they don't want to watch the TV.
Yeah.
They don't want to listen to the radio.
Right.
And I feel bad for that, because we need to be informed.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call, Tom. The ostrich approach to dealing with this is exactly how, in part, we've gotten to this point. I got this text from a friend. This is, speaking of missing the point. St. Lawrence is not aligned with BLM Brandon. They're Back the Blue School. School's president, Joe Martinez. Parents are retired cops. He gets it. You're missing the point. Who's aligned? Do you think? And who cares who's aligned and who isn't aligned? Collectively, there has been a general abdication to Jelly Belly and BLM Brandon and the rest of the political ruling class. Who's aligned? Oh, no, I don't want to participate. Nobody's asking you. Haven't you figured that out yet? Now, once you figure that out, then maybe you'll figure out what to do about it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Biden says that Israel shouldn't occupy Gaza.
And if he stutters, they give you a pre-warning. It's now 6 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Hamas and the extreme elements of Hamas don't represent all the Palestinian people.
And while President Biden tells CBS 60 Minutes Israel should destroy the militant group whose terror attack started all this, it would be a big mistake for Israel to go in and occupy Gaza, as the Secretary of State returned to Israel today for talks.
There was a lot of buzz this morning about a possible ceasefire in the southern part of Gaza to allow for the exit of foreign nationals and the entry of aid. but so far that has not taken place. In the distance, you can hear the buzz of an Israeli drone. There's been more rocket fire today towards central Israel, and even once Secretary of State Antony Blinken landed, Hamas fired a medium-range rocket toward the city of Tel Aviv, and we understand it landed in the sea.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Sderot near Gaza, where Israel now says Hamas has 199 hostages, some of them Americans. And Fox's Jonathan Savage reports
more than 1 million people have fled their homes in the past week. Food and water supplies are dwindling. More than 1,400 Israelis and 2,700 Palestinians have been killed in the past 10 days.
That's fine. And the House Republicans plan to vote tomorrow, trying to elect a new speaker. Jim Jordan's the nominee, but he's still trying to sway some who do not support him after Steve Scalise fell short of votes last week. The speaker who was ousted earlier this month, Kevin McCarthy, tells Fox Sunday Morning Futures,
"Look, I think Jim Jordan can get there. I'm one who understands how difficult it is."
Drugstore chain Rite Aid has filed for bankruptcy as it deals with opioid-related lawsuits accusing Rite Aid of helping fuel the opioid crisis of drug overdoses and deaths illegally filling prescriptions. A TV star has died.
Come and knock on our door.
Suzanne Summers became famous on Three's Company in the 1970s, then became an entrepreneur with the Thigh Master and fitness videos. She also battled cancer for years. Today would have been Suzanne Summers' 77th birthday. America's listening to Fox News.
Light rain showers, 52 degrees. At 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A landlord in Will County faces murder and hate crime charges after authorities allege he stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death and severely wounded his mother. Deputies were called out Saturday to a home on South Lincoln Highway after a woman called 911 claiming her landlord had attacked her with a knife.
He loved his parents. He loved his family and his friends. He loved life.
Deputies located Joseph Chuba sitting outside on the ground with a laceration to his forehead. Authorities then found Waidia El Fayumi and his mother Hanan with stab wounds inside the home. Both were sent to a nearby hospital where the boy later died.
We consider ourselves to be a real part of the American society. We are here to build. We are helping. We are doing the best of what we can.
Yosef Hanan is an uncle of the child. President Biden sent condolences to the family. Meantime, heightened security and a police presence continue at synagogues and Jewish neighborhoods throughout the area. The FBI and local law enforcement agencies were especially on high alert during synagogue services last Friday. Many synagogues conducted virtual Sabbath services, and others that held in-person services reported very high attendance under extremely tight security after threats from Muslim and other communities. Dozens from the Israeli and Jewish communities gathered in Evanston's Fountain Square to pray for and demand release of more than 100 hostages abducted by Hamas terrorists. Oren Orkin was one of the organizers of that weekend event.
The more people hear about it, the more pressure they can put on our governors, state reps, senators, anybody that can do something.
Evanston's Judith Renan and her 17-year-old daughter, who are from Evanston, are among dozens believed to be held hostage by Hamas. Fire broke out at an over-century-old church on Chicago's southeast side over the weekend. The fire began at the historic Advocate United Church of Christ at 103rd and Avenue L around 4 a.m. Saturday. No one was in the building. No injuries reported. Senior Pastor Malcolm Griffith was in the building Friday afternoon.
Ironically, even we was here to meet the building code inspector. We just passed the inspection, and so everything was fine.
The church appears to be a total loss for now. Charges are pending against a person accused of shooting a security guard at a Red Line station on Chicago's South Side, and a suspected case of measles reported in Cook County. Prior to this case, the last measles case in Illinois was identified in 2019. Bears lost in more ways than one yesterday. Starting quarterback Justin Fields was injured in a 19-13 loss to the Vikings. Fields apparently has dislocated a thumb. Bears fall to 1-5. They host Vegas next Sunday. Blackhawks unable to overcome 3 second-period goals in a loss to Montreal Saturday. They visit the Maple Leafs tonight. The news service of Advanced Design Studio. Thinking of a home renovation but aren't sure where to begin? Check out Common Sense Remodeling with Advanced Design Studio at advanceddesignstudio.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard, Tom Mirabali, independent insurance agent with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, and by OverheadDoorChicago.com.
A whole generation knows little to nothing about our nation's darkest day, 9/11. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute launched to right this wrong by educating kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos in the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full curriculum units, a speakers bureau, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts, and Russell F. Siller Memorial Scholarships for kids of program recipients. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for Townhall.com. The day after Israel was brutally attacked, the Democratic Socialists of America organized a rally for the attacker, for Hamas, in Times Square. We have a First Amendment, and it protects even repugnant speech like this. But it was hard not to notice the number of young military-aged men at the event. And then the question asked itself, how many of them had entered America through our open borders over the last 2 years? For years, the Biden administration has left America's borders wide open. As of last month, 160 migrants whose identities match those on the terrorist watch list have been stopped trying to enter our country. That's compared to 100 in 2022. And that's not even taking into consideration those who have entered undetected. Policies have consequences. God willing, America will never pay the price Israel has for what the Biden administration has done.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
6:09. Update on the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Kennedy inbound building rapidly 35 O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Stevenson is at 34 now, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Jam solid Harlem all the way through Kedzie. Dan Ryan Express lanes, a jam solid inbound 43rd into the Stevenson Expressway and all the way in now 17 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Jane Addams accident right shoulder eastbound near the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of a damp start this morning. It'll be cloudy for most of the day. High today 57. Partly cloudy tonight, low 43. And then mostly sunny tomorrow, the high 61. Partly sunny, terrific day Wednesday, the high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Turning our attention to Israel with the ground invasion in Gaza imminent, it would appear. The lessons that the elites didn't learn. And I'm not just talking about 50 years ago or 75 years ago. I'm talking about 10 years ago. And it's relevant because, of course, 10 years ago, that was the second term of Joe Obama. We're now in the third. The 2014 Gaza War, that was also known as Operation Protective Edge. You remember? I think most of the people listening were old enough to remember 2014.
I remember, yeah.
So this was a military operation launched by Israel that lasted about 6 weeks in the late summer of 2014. Following the kidnapping and murder of 3 Israeli teenagers in the West Bank by Hamas affiliates. Israel Defense Forces initiated an operation in which some 350 Palestinians, including nearly all of the active Hamas militants in the West Bank, were arrested. Hamas subsequently fired a greater number of rockets into Israel from Gaza, triggering the 6-7 week long conflict between the two sides. One of the deadliest outbreaks of violence in decades until
this happened.
Yeah, till 10 years later. I mean, this was, for all the people who are having scales fall from eyes about the D.C. press corps, about college campuses, the professorate on college campuses, the administrators, the kids. This was a CARE organized rally for Hamas in Miami in 2014. CARE organized, the Council on American Islamic Relations, that presents as sort of peace-loving while they organize days of rage, as they did in Miami, just to give you one example, a decade ago. Let's go Hamas, we are jihad. Who apparently learned a lesson about the Middle East, about Hamas and Hezbollah and Islamofascists over the last, 10 years, 50 years, his lifetime? President Trump, former President Trump. And what's interesting about that? It's not me saying it. It's not MAGA World saying it. It's Chamath Palihapitiya on the All In podcast. These are the tech billionaires that have this podcast that they do collectively. Jason Calacanis and others. Palihapitiya was ground floor at Facebook, CEO of Social Capital. Let's know what he had to say, speaking to Calacanis on the All In podcast, reflecting on the week that was.
As a Democrat who has been left homeless, a lot of the good work, as a Democrat who has been left homeless, who is now definitely in the center, but probably leaning increasingly right, I'm left yet again with an appreciation, despite the message of the Trump administration, because what those guys did was pretty incredible in hindsight. these Abraham Accords, the accords with Israel and the GCC, the almost accord between Israel and Saudi, to really be able to like find a long-lasting peace is just a real example for the world. And those guys did a lot of really good work. And
it's a miracle, actually, when you look at it. What they did, despite the fact, listen, I'm no fan of Trump, and I am too homeless.
But this is where, but can I say this?
But if you want to objectively look at what they did, it was good work. It was great work.
You have to. And in fact, this is a moment where you have to start to re-underwrite, like, is your, not you, Jason, but I'm just saying collectively, is one's Trump derangement syndrome causing more damage than anything that Trump could have actually done? And I think the answer is yes, because like it's now causing us to not see that good work and then embrace and extend it. So much of the work that happened in that administration turns out to have been right. And that's what's so frustrating for me. The work on the border wall. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message. Turned out it was right. Issuing long-term debt to refinance when rates were at zero. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message. A structural peace in the Middle East. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message. When are we going to stop shooting ourselves in the foot?
Wow.
Talk about scales falling from eyes. How about those scales from those eyes? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And by the way, world events are conspiring to end this primary election, and maybe even the general election. That's a big statement. It's too early really to make it seriously. But I'm telling you, when you have that kind of commentary happening, that's really something. And it, regardless of who your horse is in the Republican primary, it just crowds out any potential competitors to Trump, because not only is he under persecution by the left, he also has a record that you just can't replicate, you can't compete with, that's relevant to world events. I mean, you have that record that's being described by, the typical person of the elite left who says, hey, I can't tell you I like Trump. I have my problems with Trump. I don't like him personally. All the qualifiers. But then Palapedia says what you just heard him say. We need to stop shooting ourselves in the foot by killing the messenger when the message is correct. We need to be a little bit more thoughtful. We need to focus on the substance of the policy choice and the potential outcomes. Wow.
I mean, who else feels like our world is falling apart? With 30 Americans that are dead, 13 that are still unaccounted for in Israel. And then think of our border being wide open. I mean, last week, Dan, they caught Jordanians. They're on the terrorist watch list. They caught Egyptians. One man from Gaza. I mean, it's...
Well, exactly.
And when we had Trump in office, life was better. We felt safer.
And so against this, too, now here's the contrast, right? Yeah. Who has credibility on the topic? Yeah, I know his intemperate comments in the direction of Netanyahu and making it personal and petty. But on the substance, that's just part of who Trump is. It's a character flaw. It'd be better if he didn't do those things, but he does them. But that's sort of what Palapedia is getting to, which is, the Abraham Accords and other examples he gave. On the substance of the matter, you may not like the personality, you may not like the rhetorical approach, but on the substance of the matter, relative to what the other options are, do you want the current option?
I mean, my God, did you see
that?
And
so, hold on a second. And so, the contrast. Who has credibility? The reaction to Trump from these tech billionaires compared to the reaction from the hoi polloi. What was your reaction when you heard this from FBI Director Chris Wray over the weekend?
We remain committed to continue confronting those threats, both here in the United States and overseas. In this heightened environment, there's no question we're seeing an increase in reported threats, and we've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own. So I'd encourage you to stay vigilant, because as the first line of defense, protecting our communities, you're often the first to see the signs that someone may be mobilizing to violence. I'd also ask you to continue sharing any intelligence or observations you may have. And on our end, we're committed to doing the same so that together we can safeguard our communities.
Yeah, I mean, do you believe Chris Wray with this warning about lone actors that could copycat Hamas's brutalities on American soil against Americans and others? Who believes Christopher Wray?
It's hard to after what he just put us through.
Right. You're going to take time out of your busy schedule, Director Wray, of tracking Catholics who attend Latin Mass and
people
dodging questions about January 6th and doing SEAL Team 6 raids on peaceful pro-life pastors in rural Pennsylvania to actually focus on terrorist threats when 2 million people have been apprehended trying to come over and 99% of them have escaped into this country, and all the numbers of individuals that have been documented on the terrorist watch list who the federal government doesn't know where they are, but they know they're in this country because of the porous, not porous, because of the open border. Now it's all of a sudden he's serious and the G-men are on the job and they're guarding the tower and so on and so forth. I don't believe that. I have zero trust in Christopher Wray and the FBI. Not under this president.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. What also didn't make me feel safe or proud of our president, before the interview that he did on 60 Minutes, Scott Pelley said this: the president's going to be 81 years old next month, and when he's tired, his lifelong stutter can creep back in. You know that was contingent on getting that interview or not. I mean, now we have a feeble old man. I mean, they're just saying it, and that if he stutters, this is why, because he's tired.
That's the least of the problems. That's the least of the problems with the political establishment in D.C. The least of it is this, whether Biden's tired and whether his synapses are firing and so on and so forth.
I don't want him in charge.
We're talking. Yeah, well, I get it, but let's focus on what the main thing is. And the main thing is their policy perspective. This is what Palapidia is getting to. Yeah, and by the way, I hope all of the sort of reflexively anti-Trump center-right donor class here's the All In podcast with all those tech billionaires who are just as desirous of social status as the center-right, so much of the establishment center-right GOP donor class. If those tech billionaires who are leftists from Silicon Valley, if they get it, what are you missing? Dave in Bristol, Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm a truck driver from Wisconsin. Was just at the border in El Indio, Texas. Was driving along the I-10, and as I come around the curve on two occasions, groups of like 20 men, 20 people just walking down the shoulder. There's border patrol everywhere, but it's really flooded. Just FYI. Also, very refreshing to hear that stance on the podcast. And this is what has got me shaking my head for so many years, is that the meme that's going around is that they're coming for you, I'm just in the way, is so true. Because when the powers that be and the people that are making these policies are against all the citizens of Illinois and Wisconsin and across the country, you're not protected because of your virtue and how good you want to do. When the system comes for us, the general population, you are included in that. So do not discount the policies and the common sense standpoints that Trump stood for.
Thanks for the call, Dave. And again, this is not to exclude others who are also, quote unquote, standing in the way. I think Ron DeSantis is somebody who stands in the way of this rapacious political class, too, and what Dave, the truck driver, is describing. But, I mean, just Trump is just uniquely positioned because of having served during this tumultuous time and having accomplished what he accomplished. I mean, there's just no way to avert your eyes from what occurred. And a president gets credit for what occurs under his watch and occasionally is held accountable for what occurs under his watch as well. I mean, that's just how it is. So you can curse the way it is all you want. You still have to confront the reality. And again, one-off, Christopher Wray, I just got to focus on Christopher Wray. This idea, one-off lone wolves. It's always one-off lone wolves. It's never organized, right? It's not Hamas and Hezbollah orchestrated. It's just sort of inspired, and it's just radicalization online. That certainly happens. We've seen many instances of it. But with a completely open border, they wouldn't take the opportunity to orchestrate. Listen to what you're hearing. You heard the Day of Rage a decade ago. What are you hearing this weekend in Chicago? And thousands protesting for Palestine and essentially supporting Hamas in New York.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free.
And
listen to what happened in Chicago. I mean,
do you understand what that phrase means first?
Right, from the river to yes, because our housing director that Brandon Johnson appointed said the same thing last week in Chicago.
Yeah, but do you understand the implication of it? People need to understand the implication of that chant, that Hamas-inspired chant.
To wipe out all of the Jewish people, to take over.
From Jordan to the Mediterranean. No fragmented Palestinian state. Exactly. That this is, you can say, as Margaret Brennan did on Face the Nation, all you want. The PLO's position is that Israel has a right to exist. That is bull jive.
Yeah.
They are Hamas apologists. And frankly, and this is the hard discussion when you get into collateral damage in Gaza of Palestinian men and women and children who are not part of Hamas.
Right.
But you have wild popular support for Hamas.
Yeah, and here in Chicago, when they took over Michigan Avenue, shut down traffic. Tourists were running off the Mag Mile.
Where's the outcry? Entire families have been wiped out. Dozens of bodies under the rubble.
The Palestinian community is a community of love. The Palestinian community is a community of peace.
Justice is our demand.
And that's pulled over from the city council meeting into the streets. And, Chicago police did a good job as well they could, but it was crazy here Friday night.
That raging does not inspire confidence in the professions of peace, does it? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Well, they dropped it down the stairs and then they tumbled off their truck. But when they fell out in the street, I knew I was out of luck. I got the crash, bang, boom. Should have had it in the Starcase blue. Yeah. If you don't want to lose it, put yours in the Starcase too.
Yes, Starcase has designed custom reusable shipping cases for everything from irreplaceable trophies to mission-critical scientific equipment. Cases that can take the crash, bang, boom waiting for it when it leaves your dock. Let us build you a case specially designed to protect your stuff. Go to starcase.com or call 800-822-STAR. That's 800-822-7827.
All right. Getting it together, figuring it all out. At Justin's wedding, Justin and Bethany's wedding, somebody came up to me and said that they love Balance of Nature. We had a little chat. They said they've been taking it. They love it because they don't get the daily recommended allowance of fruits and veggies, which is 5. Who's doing that? But they said they've increased energy. They love it. They can stay longer at the gym and then sleep better at night. What it is 31 whole fruits and vegetables. Real food, real nutrition. So get the ability to do the things that you love even as you age. Get your health back. Be proactive. 800-246-8751 is the number to call. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Many novice gold and silver buyers make fatal mistakes when buying precious metals for the first time. Mistakes made because of dealer gimmicks and scams. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. My choice, and it really is, for buying precious metals. Numerous precious metal dealers are capitalizing on the demand for gold by selling inexperienced investors collectible coins with outrageous markups. One company charges as much as $18,000 for collectible coins that are only worth about $5,500 in the open market. It's an example of the honesty of AmFed. Other dealers tell falsehoods about government gold confiscation or regulation of gold prices at AmFed Coin and Bullion to keep things simple and transparent so you'll understand what you own and its true value. If you're thinking of buying or have already purchased and want a second opinion, call Nick Grovich, the man I trust, and his team at AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. Receive a complimentary coin performance review, AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of reasons to have no faith in Christopher Wray as FBI director, Cheryl Atkinson, the investigative journalist who hosts the program Full Measure, has just come out with an excellent January 6th report, and we'll have the highlights of that at 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
50 degrees, 6:32. The White House says U.S. officials at this moment are working to help Americans leave the Gaza Strip and the West Bank as the conflict rages between Israel and Hamas.
The Biden administration noted the U.S. is coordinating efforts with Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and other countries in the region, along with the United Nations. According to a Sunday news release, the goal is also to make sure that civilians in Gaza have access to food, water, and medical care, along with other humanitarian assistance. I'm Mark Mayfield.
A school in France where a teacher was stabbed to death last week is now at the center of a bomb scare. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
The Lycée Gambetta High School in the northern French town of Arras had no classes scheduled today, but pupils and staff were being given the chance to pay tribute to teacher Dominique Bernard. Reuters reports a bomb scare caused the building's evacuation, some staff and students leaving in tears. Bernard was killed on Friday in what President Emmanuel Macron called barbaric Islamic terrorism. The attacker wounded 2 other people in the knife attack, putting France on its highest level of alert. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
A landlord in Will County facing murder and hate crime charges after authorities say he stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death and severely wounded his mother. Deputies were called out Saturday to a home in unincorporated Plainfield Township. Deputies located Joseph Chuba sitting on the ground with a laceration to his forehead. Authorities then found Waidia El-Fayumi and his mother Hanan Shaheen with stab wounds. Both were rushed to a nearby hospital where the boy later died.
He loved his parents. He loved his family and his friends. He loved life.
Meantime, heightened security and police presence continues around area synagogues and Jewish neighborhood facilities. The FBI and local law enforcement agencies were especially on high alert over the weekend. Dozens from the Israeli and Jewish community gathered in Evanston yesterday to pray for and demand release of more than 100 hostages abducted by Hamas terrorists. Evanston's Judith Renan and her 17-year-old daughter Natalie are among dozens believed to be held hostage by Hamas. Rabbi Ari Hart ministers to local families.
His aunt and uncle are members of our synagogue. His grandmother comes to worship at our synagogue. You know, this situation is not something far away. This affects many people in our community very personally.
In other news this morning, Mayor Brandon Johnson will visit the southern U.S. border with multiple aldermen and women this week. Already tens of thousands of illegal migrants have arrived in the city of Chicago. Actress Suzanne Summers has died after a long battle with breast cancer. Summers gained instant fame in the mid-1970s as Chrissy Snow on the ABC hit comedy Three's Company. She went on to star in other sitcoms like Step by Step and She's the Sheriff. In addition to acting, Summers had her own line of health, beauty, and fitness products. Summers died yesterday at the age of 77. Her birthday would have been today. Bears lost to the Vikings 19-13, lost their quarterback, Justin Fields, dislocating a thumb. Bears fall to 1-5 with the loss. The news, a service of Discover. If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cashback on everyday purchases. No fees, period. Checkout eligibility at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Ruthie. I love helping people. There's so many people that are down. Sometimes all it takes is a piece of pie to make the sunshine come in their life again. And with the help of Balance of Nature, it's making it more fun and giving me more energy. And I would really like to thank Balance of Nature. These are mine for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
From the studio that brought you Sound of Freedom comes After Death.
What happens after you die?
A new cinematic experience that explores some of life's biggest questions with expert interviews and first-hand accounts.
I never felt alive and then dead. I felt alive and then more alive.
I heard a voice before I woke up. You still have a purpose on Earth.
After Death. In theaters October 27th. Get tickets now or pay it forward at angel.com/afterdeath.
It's a big evening you don't want to miss. The Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet with best-selling author and nationally syndicated radio host Eric Metaxas. Friday, November 3rd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. To attend, click events at illinoisfamily.org.
We're talking about religious freedom being constricted by the state. Will the church wake up and say, this is wrong?
Eric Metaxas is the author of Bonhoeffer, Amazing Grace, and his latest book, Letter to the American Church, is a wake-up call for Christians to speak out and protect religious liberty.
If you will speak up, things will change if we would but try.
Eric Metaxas and the IFI Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, November 3rd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. To attend, click events at illinoisfamily.org. illinoisfamily.org.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
6:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's 28 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy Building quickly, now 48 from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Ike between Manheim and Ridgeland, 45 into the old post office. Dan Ryan in, locals jamming up, 43rd through 18th. It's 23 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Damp this morning, otherwise cloudy much of the day, high 57. It's 50 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at PureShaleFinancial.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Cheryl Atkinson, investigative reporter, formerly with the big boys, mainstream, CBS.
Oh, yeah.
Then she went on her own, and she does this Full Measure program. We've had her on the program many times before. She does good investigative journalism, lost art. She has taken up as her cover story in the most recent edition of Full Measure, January 6th. And she pulled in two former federal law enforcement whistleblowers. John Dodson, who was an ATF agent who blew the whistle on the Fast and Furious program. Remember that under Joe Obama terms 1 and 2 with Eric Holder funneling guns to Mexican drug cartels? Oh, yeah. Yeah, John Dodson, and by the way, resulting in the death of an ATF agent, the murder of an ATF agent. John Dodson was the whistleblower on that. Stephen Friend is a former FBI agent who was a whistleblower on the January 6th raids, January 6th related raids. Didn't want to do that. Thought some of what was being he was tasked to do, thought it was over the top. So she brought them together to analyze some video that has received some fresh eyes. And she asked other federal law enforcement to look at the video and comment on it too, from their position as experts in terms of what they're seeing and what a law enforcement response should be to a crowd that has become unruly and violent in some respects, as well as against the backdrop of the questions that have been asked for, the better part of 2.5 years now without answer. Were there federal assets on the ground in D.C.? How many? Nobody knows. And certainly nobody at the FBI. That's Christopher Wray's testimony. Can't talk about it, don't know, no idea. You heard from Stephen Son, thanks to Tucker Carlson's interview of the Capitol Police Chief at the time, how unusual the interaction between Capitol Police and federal law enforcement was in the run-up to January 6th. John Dodson and Stephen Friend. What they looked at in this report that Atkinson did is a pattern of law enforcement not separating instigators from the crowds. In other words, people that were exhorting others to be unruly, to be unlawful, to be violent. 3 instances, really good reporting. It's worth checking out. I just tweeted out her full report, but the highlights. John Dodson's characterization.
In the first scenario, the man in the knit cap and blue jacket with his back to us appears and engages an officer.
I think it's odd the way that either he feels comfortable enough or the officer feels comfortable enough to allow him to come in so close and almost whisper to him or talk quietly. You're holding a line, like that's your job while you're there. So you maintain a distance of safety, a reactionary distance where in case things get bad instantly, you can do that. But it looks like that's vacated here.
A supervisor tells police and the knit cap man to hold. Seconds later, a man dressed as a Trump supporter with a beard and flag, we'll call him Santa Claus, appears from behind the police line with an apparent escort. The escort goes on to join the police line.
Wondering where the individual came from that came from behind their line, and for him to have free reign standing along behind them. And the other individual that escorted him there just kind of disappeared forward of the line. So it's strange why, if you're holding off a section of a building or any area for a protest or anything like that, that you allow people to mingle around behind you. And not even if they somehow manage to get there, once you notice that they're there, you should immediately place them on the other side of the line.
Santa Claus blends into the scene by joining Knit Cap Man engaging the officer. Within seconds, the two men push past police and lead the crowd through.
So Knit Cap Man and Santa Claus Man, that's example number one, pivotal moment number one, Cheryl Atkinson terms it. Pattern of not separating instigators from the crowds. And then when you see Knit Cap Man and Santa Claus Man just push through police and lead the crowd down the hall, it is without resistance from law enforcement that is otherwise set up seemingly to hold the line and not allow people to pass inside the Capitol. So why? Who? Who are they? Pivotal moment number two. Thin hair man meets earmuff hat man. It's a way to describe, you've got your...
I know, we got the Knit Cap Man, we got the Santa Claus Man, and now we have thin-haired.
Yeah.
I'm writing this down.
Well, I mean, you keep... It's easier to, especially when you watch the video, it's easier to identify them and track it that way than it is to try to remember names, just like the QAnon shaman. You don't remember his name, but you remember the image, right?
And the outfit, and people dress up like him for Halloween, yes.
So Knit Cap Man and Santa Claus Man, that's moment one. Moment two, thin hair man meets earmuff hat man.
This man with thinning hair works his way to the front of the crowd, and along with the man in the red cap, they aggressively beckon authorities and confer with them. Thin hair man is allowed behind the police line, where he has extensive discussions with the Capitol Sergeant-at-Arms law enforcement official in the dark suit. That official leaves the conversation and appears to give instructions to two people who scurry down the hall. 2 minutes later, another instigator is about to appear, again from behind police lines. You can't see him yet, but you'll see him in a moment. He appears to be escorted by that sergeant-at-arms official here, and also by police, who instead of arresting him, guide him toward the crowd. He's wearing an earmuff hat.
But see, he's almost like overacting. It's just embarrassing. Yeah, where does he come from and why does he walk through? And if he's already, breached one significant area or a control area that you have control over, why isn't he arrested and immediately removed from the scene then?
Earmuff man, you're seeing the back of his head here, calmly confers multiple times with an officer who points directionally. There's more chatting with the officer, and then Earmuff man suddenly changes demeanor, starts acting out again, and is allowed to join the protesters in a lead position.
There just was some basic safety protocols that were not being followed, and that is escorting individuals who you perceive to be potentially violent agitators and allowing them to go through your ranks and stand behind you when you're not able to keep eyes on them, unsecured. It's allowing those individuals those agitators to lead the group, almost like a Pied Piper style, through the Capitol. Those are all problems that could be easily rectified by taking that person out of the equation, removing them, arresting them. It's just very unusual that he's sort of allowed back from behind the lines, and then when he is pushed to the group, and they sort of put him in the lead position, which is unusual.
That was Stephen Friend, the FBI informant, providing commentary on the unusual law enforcement response to these people being escorted in. Sergeant-at-Arms in the Capitol, too. One of the great unanswered questions is what was communicated from federal law enforcement to the sergeants-at-arms for both chambers. What did they communicate to Pelosi and McConnell, respectively? We still don't know. Shockingly, that J6 Star Chamber proceeding didn't seem too interested in getting the answers to those questions. So all this interaction, the performative, rallying the those inside the Capitol, agitating, and you can hear him, yelling and making a spectacle of himself. And then all of a sudden he's calmly talking to law enforcement, and then all of a sudden he's leading the crowd past law enforcement. Unusual, to say the least. And then all three of these individuals Thin Hair Man, Earmuff Hat Man, and Knitcap Man lead a march toward the chamber where the vote certification is to happen.
In a matter of just a couple of minutes, these key figures, who'd all once been allowed on the police side of the line, are about to break through the police line together and lead the crowd further toward the speaker's lobby, where Congress is meeting to certify the 2020 election results. There's the gray-haired man. He's first. That's Thin Hair Man.
Dude, you're not helping. You're going to get me hurt and other people. It's not.
And Earmuff Man.
It's the Steve.
The first thing you got to do is you got to get rid of the troublemakers.
I didn't see key provocateurs removed from the crowd. In fact, the key provocateurs in this case seem to be sort of tolerated, if not encouraged, by some of the police officers on the front line.
They were definitely tolerated.
And so maybe it's just a matter of incompetence, or maybe it's some combination of the two. We don't know, but at least Sharyl Attkisson is providing the evidence to prompt the proper questions, the proper why questions.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us all morning long on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
So then they lead the way to the speaker's lobby. Well, in case your memory's hazy, the speaker's lobby is where the Ashley Babbitt shooting occurred. And Earmuff Hat Man was before that door in front of police just before that occurred.
Minutes after Earmuff Man first appeared on the video from behind the police line and blended in with the crowd, he's the key instigator outside a hallway called the speaker's lobby. Notice the officer doesn't react or pull away when Earmuff Man grabs him by the hand. A police team in riot gear arrives. They're nearby off camera, and 3 officers guarding the speaker's lobby suddenly walk off.
When the whole country hates you to go home.
And immediately they all walk away.
I'd love to know why or who gave the order for them to abandon that post. Everything seemed calm. They had it under control. They were holding their line, and then they forfeited. I don't know why.
Earmuff Man removes his hat and mask and takes the lead, beating on the glass with a helmet as police and a sergeant-at-arms official watch. The gun of Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd can be seen. He fires, killing an unarmed protester named Ashley Babbitt as she climbs through a broken window. Earmuff Man immediately runs behind the line of police in riot gear who are watching, positioned on a staircase just steps away, and they let him in. Though he was a violent leader just moments before, he can be seen speaking with and touching officers who then allow him to crouch and dig through his backpack as they turn their backs to him.
Yeah, that's an emergency response team. So they're not there to negotiate with you. They're there to put you on the ground, but they're letting him back.
If you look down there now, so he's changing his shirt.
He's getting things or putting things in his bag.
So in police training, would you ever let a demonstrator after a shooting come behind your line and turn your back on him, dig through his backpack?
No. He's going to be controlled. And first, if he's behind the line, it's because we want him there, and then he's going to have somebody with him. He's going to have somebody probably on top of him.
If he were a demonstrator.
Right, yeah, literally. If I need to talk to him, hold on to him, and we pass him to the back, then they're holding on to him very securely until it's over with and we're done talking to him.
What does this scene say to you?
He obviously has free range to do. Now, I understand it's a very dynamic situation. There's a lot going on, but for all these, emergency response team or rapid reaction team to just keep passing him back to no one and allow him to go digging through that bag in the stairwell, it raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, if this was an unknown entity, you just had someone shot and you see one of the leaders of this pounding on the doors, one of the leaders of the mob action, digging through his backpack, and you're law enforcement or just somebody with common sense, what are you thinking? Was this guy getting a gun to respond? And yet instead, what you see from the video is exactly what they described, what Atkinson described, what they're commenting on, which is the law enforcement is holding them off. He's behind the crowd off. He's behind them, changing his shirt. Why is he changing his shirt? Behind them, and they're paying no mind to him digging through his backpack in a situation like that where a woman has just been shot. That makes sense to you? Is that a legitimate question to ask? What's exactly going on here? What's the relationship? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Now, this becomes a little bit more complicated. Go where the facts lead. Because after a bit of a hue and cry, Earmuff Hat Man was arrested. And the Department of Justice sent out this press release about his arrest and the charges filed against Earmuff Hat Man. And now I think he's facing a sentencing on conviction on 10 separate charges. But it wasn't until there was pressure put, and by the way, the press release, and this is all documented in Atkinson's piece, the press release sort of mischaracterizes what went down. What you'll read in that DOJ press release is not what you see in this video that you've just heard summarized by Atkinson and commented on by these former federal law enforcement officials. And as to the others, no charges, at least that were documented in the piece. Stephen Friend, the FBI whistleblower, summarizing this, what we've seen here and what you've just heard.
Could they have been an informant? Perhaps. Could they have been an undercover? You never know. I don't think that this is a perfect puzzle where all the pieces go together. I do think, though, that there were some just blatant behaviors that day that were not normal. They were very unnatural, that necessitate a full, transparent, and open investigation by the individuals that are positioned to do that in government and by individuals such as yourself in media who should have access to that footage so that they can present it to the American people.
Yeah. These are legitimate questions that we deserve answers to, like credible answers to. What Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund had to say in his interview with Tucker Carlson and before Congress more recently, as well as what the questions that Cheryl Atkinson and these former federal law enforcement officials are raising. Not conspiracy theorizing. This is what we see. This is what we know from professionals the response would normally be. This is what common sense tells us laymen who are not law enforcement. And we get from Christopher Wray stonewalling.
Got a text message, Dan and Amy. Hey, Earmuff Hat Man, do you know Ray Epps?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Frank and Lamont. Quickly, Frank, thanks for the
call.
Hey,
how are you, Dan? Good morning, Amy. Yeah, something is very wrong here. I've served in law enforcement over 30 years and have been to thousands of protests. And this definitely needs to be, the stuff of 9/11 hearings. There's something either very, very wrong with the training at the Capitol Police, and I find that kind of hard to believe because this is not their first rodeo, or there's something much more insidious. You do get intel people who will work inside, and it is hard to keep track of them. Here in Chicago, you'd have the state, the FBI, Cook County, and CPD tripping all over each other with plainclothes intelligence people. But for the U.S. Capitol Police to play this game with the FBI that nobody knows what the left hand and the right hand is doing, no, this is insidious, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Frank. Appreciate that perspective.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about the Speaker's race in the House and other such matters with congressional candidate, former State Senator Darren Bailey, at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A Will County landlord charged with killing a boy and wounding a mother. WINT Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
There are even more hostages than we thought. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We've been able to identify and notify the families of 199 people that have been abducted by Hamas.
Some of them are Americans. And Israeli Defense Forces Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner also tells Fox,
we still have terrorists in the vicinity of the southern communities that were engaging us. So there is an ongoing war. Hamas decided to go to war with Israel, and we will win.
Fox's Trey Yingst is near Gaza.
Right now, we are at an Israeli artillery position in southern Israel. The Israelis are hitting Gaza from both the air and the ground. We heard some reports about a possible ceasefire in southern Gaza today. The Prime Minister's office quickly clamped down on that, saying there's no such thing.
Now, thousands of Palestinians are hoping to be allowed to cross into Egypt. Hundreds of thousands in shelters in Gaza, where more than 2,700 people are dead. 1,400 Israelis have been killed, along with 30 Americans. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's in Israel for more talks. President Biden tells CBS 60 Minutes,
I guarantee we're going to provide them everything they need.
Now, the president was supposed to go to Colorado today. He's just postponed that for national security meetings. A 71-year-old man in Illinois is charged with murder and a hate crime, accused of stabbing a 6-year-old boy to death over the weekend and wounding his mom because of their Islamic faith. House Republicans still trying to find the new speaker nearly 2 weeks after Kevin McCarthy was voted out. Congressman Mark Alford supports Jim Jordan, but tells Fox Business it'll be tough to sway some moderate holdouts.
Because Jim Jordan is conservative. Look, he's pushing the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. He's doing the investigation into Hunter Biden.
A TV star who first made it big in the 1970s has died after a long battle with cancer. Suzanne Summers first starred in Three's Company, then became an entrepreneur with the Thigh Master and fitness videos, and was a best-selling author. She was 76. America's listening to Fox News.
Cloudy and 50 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning.
Exergen thermometer.
I'm Mike Scott. A landlord in Will County is facing murder and hate crime charges after authorities say he stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death, severely wounding his mother. Deputies were called out Saturday to a home in unincorporated Plainfield Township after a woman called 911 claiming her landlord had attacked her with a knife. Deputies located Joseph Chuba sitting outside on the ground with a laceration to his forehead. Authorities then found Waidia El Fayumi and his mother Hanan Shaheen with stab wounds inside the home. Both were rushed to a nearby hospital where the boy later died.
We consider ourselves to be a real part of the American society. We are here to build. We are helping. We are doing the best of what we can.
Yosef Hanan is an uncle of the child. Detectives believe that both victims may have been targeted by Chuba for being Muslim and may have been propelled by the ongoing conflict between Hamas and terror attacks on Israel. Meantime, heightened security and police presence continues at synagogues and Jewish neighborhoods throughout the Chicago area. Many synagogues that did hold in-person services reported very high attendance under extremely tight security. And dozens from the Israeli and Jewish community rallied in Evanston to pray for and demand release of more than 100 hostages abducted by Hamas terrorists. Evanston's Judith Renan and 17-year-old daughter Natalie are among those being held hostage, along with 23-year-old Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who once lived here but now resides in Israel. Rabbi Ari Hart ministers to his family.
His aunt and uncle are members of our synagogue. His grandmother comes to worship at our synagogue. You know, this situation is not something far away. This affects many people in our community very personally.
In other news this morning, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will visit the southern border with multiple aldermen and women this week. A woman hospitalized Sunday after she was stabbed inside of a business on the city's northwest side, and a suspected case of the measles reported in Cook County. Prior to this case, the last measles case in Illinois was identified in 2019. Bears lost to the Vikings 19-13. Justin Fields dislocates a thumb. Bears fall to 1-5. The news, a service of Tom Mirabali Insurance. Learn how you can save on your monthly premiums at healthplanchicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A whole generation knows little to nothing about our nation's darkest day, 9/11. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute launched to right this wrong by educating kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos in the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full curriculum units, a speakers bureau, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts, and Russell F. Siller Memorial Scholarships for kids of program recipients. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Want to know how to get the same cell coverage for up to half the cost? Well, instead of spending a fortune building and maintaining their own cell phone towers, Consumer Cellular just pays to use the same towers as the largest carriers and passes the savings on to you. Pretty smart, huh? Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. 23 minutes in on your Edens commute from Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy is an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Right now it's jam solid inbound between Montrose and Belmont. The Ike on the inbound side, accident right-hand shoulder between California and Racine, and a 65-minute travel time from 390 into the old post office. Inbound Stevenson, accident just cleared at Damon. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of a damp start this morning. It'll be a cloudy day. High today 57, partly cloudy tonight, low 43, and then mostly sunny for tomorrow. A high at 61. Partly sunny, very nice day on Wednesday. The high at 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yeah, one follow-up remark to the conversation we had earlier in the program about this state-level program that, of course, disproportionately impacts the city, but everybody's paying for it. The $9,000 in rental assistance to migrants, $9,000 for over a 6-month period, which includes assistance with moving in and a starter kit to furnish the apartment, in addition to all of the other benefits, including migrants, the children of migrants who are attending government schools. Particularly in that latter point, just remember this against the backdrop of the elimination of the tax credit scholarship program at the hands of Governor Jelly Belly and the Democrat socialists in charge of the state and the city. So that was explained as it's negatively impacting the funding of our government schools. So American citizens and Chicago and Illinois residents that are low to medium income, they don't get access to the schools that people with more money do. But migrants, many of whom are in this country illegally, their children get to go to the same schools as their kids, the legal residents, the American citizens, at their expense, at the expense of those same people denied opportunity scholarships for their kids. Does that make sense to you? I'm paying for somebody who's in this country illegally to send their kids to the schools that my kids are compelled to go to in Chicago, for example, based on my address and my income. And then the state comes in and provides more money from me to them for rental assistance and starter kits to furnish their apartments, but benefits for me to level the playing field in terms of access to educational opportunity? No, that's too expensive. That's the philosophy of your ruling class in this state. So if somebody can wrap their mind around that and explain the logic of it to me, boy, I'd love to hear it. For more on the border security issue and other matters, we're pleased to be joined by former State Senator Darren Bailey, former Republican gubernatorial candidate last year against Pritzker, of course. He's now a GOP congressional candidate challenging Mike Bost in the Republican primary down in southern Illinois. Darren Bailey, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. It's glad to be back with you. Thank you.
So what about your posture on the situation at the border and as it relates to Illinois now with the migrants migrating to Chicagoland and throughout the state, of course, because Illinois is a sanctuary state? What's your posture on that, and how does it differentiate in a meaningful way Mike Bost's posture?
Well, my posture on it is it's about to get real. It's interesting that Pritzker and Johnson finally demand that the wall be, continued and fill in the gaps. I think that's interesting. These illegals are going to be distributed in small towns all over the state. There's whispers of that happening right now, and essentially, the difference between me and my opponent, and it's interesting, just last night in Washington County, of course, I spoke first, and he got to speak after, and he told the crowd that for the life of him, he can't figure out why I'm running against him. And the reality and the truth of all the problems that we have in the state of Illinois stem from failure of Republicans standing on the moral and the financial high ground. Republicans sell themselves out every time to get their names on a bill. They sell themselves out. They compromise. They believe that hey, I got to give and I've got to take. I think Illinoisans are ready for true leadership. I spent 2 years trying to get people out to vote, and we could have won. We should have won. And it seems like every argument that we posed against J.B. Pritzker is now coming true, and he's backpedaling, and it's such a shame.
Well, how is Congressman Bost failing Republicans in Illinois? Explain that.
Well, I love that, and we've got access to Conservative Review. We've got access to Heritage Foundation, CPAC, Turning Points. These are conservative scorecards, and if you'll do exactly what I did, when Cindy and I got back, we soaked up the grandkids, and I went back to the farm for a while, and we just had this yearning pulling at our heart that just our work wasn't done, and things are still, we don't have that leadership is what I found out. And so I simply started looking up some of these conservative scorecards, Conservative Review and Heritage Foundation. If you'll look those up, you'll see someone that's got an F- who's been compromising our values. You will see bill by bill for the last 8 years or 9 years now that he's been voting. It's interesting. He's got a 100% scorecard this year since he's had a primary. He upped his game to about 80% when Mary Miller got involved. But prior to that, we're talking Adam Kinzinger class. We're talking 20 or 30% of the time is all that he was voting on our conservative values. And down here, that's our problem here in Illinois. We listen to grand speeches, we pat people on the back and elect them and tell them to go get them, and then we fail to follow up with them, encourage them in the good times, and hold them accountable in the bad times. And my congressman down here has had way more bad times than he's had good times, and I'm going to hold him to account to that.
Well, what specifically with respect to border security? Is there daylight between the two of you?
Well, the simple fact that he really refuses. Where is the fight, Dan, with our with him? Where is the fight in Congress to stand up and demand that we actually do something? I think if Republicans would have been keeping this hot on the front press and messaging, then all of a sudden now that even governors like J.B. Pritzker are standing up and asking Biden for something to be done, I think we would be better prepared. We've went 9 months so far this year. And what has been accomplished in a Republican-controlled House? Where is the message? And here we sat. They took the whole month of August off. Where are we right now? We have no budget. We have no ag bill. We have absolutely nothing. And now they want to blame a few people on this chaos of not having a leader. We don't have a leader because we don't have leadership. And I think that if Republicans – go ahead.
Yeah, on specifics, I mean, I understand from Jeannie Ives that Illinois, the budget this year has about $400 million in rental assistance. I guess most of that's going to go to people in this country illegally. It's rather breathtaking. In addition to that, we know from, say, for example, the Catholic Charities in San Antonio that they're using federal funds to fly migrants from the border to Chicago and elsewhere. I mean, as a member of Congress, will you move to press the House Republican caucus, particularly if you're in the majority, to eliminate federal support for states that are using federal dollars for supporting people, either moving them around or providing them rental assistance or anything else, people in this country illegally?
Absolutely, and that's the messaging. Whether it's our education, whether it's abortion access, it's all of this federal money that's being pumped in here and just given. There has got to be reckoning and accountability with this money, and we just everything seems to be on autopilot. States get what they get, they do with whatever they want to, and now we see this disaster taking place. Whether it's with these illegals, whether it's with education, whatever it is, it's not working, and the people don't realize that because they're not being educated. And I think that if you look at my last 4 years and my run for governor, I think that's what you see. I think that's why I've been blessed to be able to do what I've done, because as I have learned, I have educated, and the people have become empowered, and the people are frustrated. So the people need to know that here's the plan, here's some answers, here's what can be done. And without that, we're just floundering in an ocean without a rudder or a sail, and that's the biggest difference right there between my opponent and myself.
We're also floundering right now without a House Speaker, and I wonder what your view is on who that person should be and whether or not it was judicious for Matt Gaetz and a few others to put the House Republican caucus in this position.
Well, I personally think so, because I go back again for 9 months. If there's one thing, whether it's here in Illinois at the state level or whether it's national level, one thing that they do the same thing every year, it is to prepare a budget. And instead, 9 months went by. The month of August, everybody went on vacation, and now they had 6 weeks to finish everything. So yeah, I think there was a problem there, and I think it needed called out. And I think it's a shame that with a Republican minority that we can't find a leader. I think that's a shame, and I think that speaks to the brokenness of the Republican Party. So I wholeheartedly support Jim Jordan. I know there's question whether or not he can reach that. I pray he does. But I think the Republican Party, not only in the state of Illinois, but across this nation, has got some work to do. We've got to get our act together. That is the root of why we are facing all of these problems.
And with respect to a range of other issues, including support for assistance to Ukraine, continued military aid to military and other aid. We're basically running a PPP program in Kyiv right now. General aid to Ukraine, military and otherwise. General aid to Israel, well, in that case, specifically military. Give us your viewpoint on Ukraine and Israel and whether or not they're parallel case studies and our response should be similar, or there are points of differentiation that need to be understood.
Well, first of all, will always stand resolute against a blank check being written. I think there's a lot of, in the early days when Russia invaded Ukraine, it was obvious. We needed to step in and do something, but here we are. All this time has passed, and just continued blank checks have been written at the peril of our nation. The question is, where is our military readiness? You take Afghanistan, you take that pullout and all the equipment that was lost, you take the money and equipment that was sent to Ukraine, you take the missiles and the money that we're sending to Israel right now. Where does that put us at? Where does that put the greatest nation on the face of this earth at? I don't think anyone knows that answer. And I think when that answer comes up, I think we're going to be, does that have anything to do with this week-long saga that's drawn out, before Israel, has hammered back on Hamas? I don't know, but I think we have some serious problems here at home. I personally, I do see a differentiation between Israel. I think we must have Israel's back regardless. Israel is the kingpin to the Middle East. Biblically and strategically, Israel must be. They are our staunch allies. They must be protected. And I think we've got to get answers as to what's going on in Ukraine with their leader, with where the money went, with what's taking place daily. And I don't see any of that being demanded.
Well, in regards to Israel, do you think President Biden is doing the right things?
Well, verbally he is. It appears to be that he's, again, I am very concerned about our military readiness, and I'm concerned as to the part that plays in this delay that's taking place, and possibly our response. Joe Biden does what he always does. He's talking, but we'll see when the action comes.
What about American troops as it pertains to Israel? We have more than 24 Americans who were killed in the Hamas attack. We've got others missing, so that distinguishes it from the situation in Ukraine as well. Is that something that you're open-minded to, deploying American troops, authorizing, if there were a move to authorize the deployment of American troops in Israel? Would you support that?
Well, I do believe that we must protect Israel at all costs. I'm glad that Israel has said they don't want that intervention right now, and I think in the days ahead we have really got to begin to focus on an America First agenda where we close our borders and we protect and we get strong and healthy again here in this nation, because that is another reason why I'm running for Congress, because I am gravely concerned that this nation financially, we already know morally that we are depleted, we are bankrupt. So what is are the days of this great nation stepping up and doing what we did in World War I and World War II? Could we even do that again? And I'm reading a lot of reports and hearing a lot of conversations that answer may be no, we can't even find enough people to work, to keep business going as usual. And I'm very concerned about where we are at right now. But yes, I think that Israel must be supported as to what they need. They're not asking for that, and I think we have got to spend these next several years strengthening ourselves right here at home and closing that doggone border and stopping this nonsense of these people coming across here illegally.
But with respect to Americans, particularly Americans that are missing or holding people to account that are responsible for American deaths, should that be something where we wait to get the high sign for Israel, or should we make an independent decision about that?
Well, I think it's obvious. I think Israel's doing everything that they can do, and I think that until we get a better handle, which, like I said again, Dan, this is a little different and awkward than I think anything that we've been involved in before, because there just doesn't seem to be a lot of information. That just listening to the news cycle, we're hearing the same thing over and over for the past week. And just as far as I've noticed, just recently in the last 2 days, has there been a hotline for people that may be trapped in Israel, or for families? I've had families reaching out to me just asking, what can I do to help get them in touch with someone, because they have relatives and friends there that they haven't heard from. So that tells me that there is quite a bit of dysfunction taking place, because they have been, calling in to state agencies, and they're not getting any answers.
He is former State Senator Darren Bailey, former GOP gubernatorial nominee last year, you'll recall, ran against Pritzker, now running for Congress in the Republican primary against Mike Bost in Southern Illinois. Darren Bailey, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted, and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
All right, Turnkey IT, they're the new sponsors of Open Mic Friday. David Kosek is going to be joining us every Friday, and it's great because they're locally family-owned business, a local family-owned business, and they're small business champions. And if you're a business owner or a department head, and if you're already planning for 2024, if you're like most businesses in Chicagoland, you've probably had a challenging year with sustaining revenue, hiring new recruits, and keeping operating costs at bay. Maybe you've had a great year and want to build the momentum in the months to come. Whatever your business faces, obstacles like financial setbacks, fierce competition, IT nightmares, or unforeseen crisis, it's not about the challenges you face, it's how you overcome them and the people you partner with. With decades of C-suite experience from their consulting team to over 25 years of managed IT services, Turnkey knows small businesses. They know how to reduce your costs, grow new revenue streams, and more without having to hire on-site professionals. So set yourself and your business up for success. Let Turnkey show you how. Turnkey is Chicago's small business champion. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local, family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to visit a provider you can trust. I trust my friends at Low T Center, where I've been getting my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, notice weight gain and loss of muscle mass, that is, these could be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T-level tested, with results back in about 25 minutes. So what are you waiting for? Log on to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Remember Spider Dan, who used to climb office buildings around the country, including Chicago?
Yeah.
Well, we've got a pro-life Spider-Man who has made his mark on Chicago, did last week. He climbed the Accenture building, I think, and was arrested. We'll talk to pro-life Spider-Man, why he does what he does at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:32, skies are gray, 50 degrees, and the White House says it is getting Americans out of Gaza, and it's up to President Biden's top staff to do so. Speaking on CNN, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
He has sent hostage experts to coordinate and consult with the Israeli government on hostage recovery efforts. He's also made sure that our diplomats are in touch with third countries in the region.
America's top diplomat is in Israel today as fighting continues between IDF and the Palestinian terror organization Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Tel Aviv this morning.
The United States has Israel's back. We will stand with it today, tomorrow, and every day.
President Joe Biden has postponed a trip to Colorado to stay close to the news in Washington about the growing conflict in the Middle East. One House Republican admits the current status of not having a speaker is not good, but it is not a crisis.
We've allowed a different process of democracy to take hold within our own conference, which is that majority doesn't rule.
Speaking on CNN State of the Union, Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw noted he's backing Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, but slammed efforts by some of Jordan's allies to turn Republicans against those who don't plan to vote for him. Rite Aid filing for bankruptcy, the pharmacy chain filing Chapter 11 protection on Sunday. An investigation by a podcast showed certain elements which have been confirmed by local reporting indicates another alleged leak of sensitive crime scene evidence by Richard Allen's defense team that could derail the early 2024 trial of the man accused of killing 2 young Indiana girls in Delphi, Indiana, nearly 7 years ago. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will visit the southern border with multiple aldermen and women this week. An Arlington Heights woman is accused of setting her own apartment on fire. Paula Sanchez has been charged with 1 count of aggravated arson. And the Amundsen Park Advisory Council released a statement Sunday demanding programming be brought back to the park's field house after the city planned to house illegal migrants there. Park is now staffed by 1 person. Seniors who arrived for regular programming over the weekend were told they had to go to Reese Park, located in the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood. Bears lost to the Vikings at Soldier Field 19-13. May lose their quarterback for a while. Justin Fields dislocated a thumb, and the Bears fall to 1-5. MLB postseason continued Sunday. Rangers shut down the Astros 2-0. Phillies host Arizona for Game 1 of the NLCS tonight. The news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees an upset section of the voting bloc.
Early 30-somethings in America are very angry right now. 28 to 32-year-old voters that have the worthless piece of paper called a college diploma, lots of student loan debt, lots of credit card debt. They do not own homes. Many of them are putting off having children because it's too expensive, and they're angry.
The Charlie Kirk Show, afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Bettenhausen Mobility is the fastest growing authorized Braun Ability dealer serving the Chicagoland area. Bettenhausen offers a complete lineup of wheelchair accessible vehicles with the options to fit all your mobility needs. As a Braun Ability dealer, Bettenhausen Mobility can provide sales and service to all accessible vehicles and mobility solutions on several makes and models. Whether you need side entry with manual or power operation or different ramp options, Bettenhausen Mobility has a solution for you. Showroom open at BettenhausenMobility.com.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You may have heard me on the radio sharing information about taxes, the IRS, or some other legal topic. Over these many years, I've learned quite a lot about helping business owners. It's pretty complicated out there. Business owners must always be learning just to keep up. So I've put together an email newsletter where I share information with business owners for free. That's right, no charge. All you have to do is go to radiotaxman.com and provide your email address. That's it. You may wonder why I would do that. Well, I know business owners are going to need help now and again. Tax returns, IRS trouble, business structuring, tax planning, and a whole lot more. I also know that if I share accurate, important information with you, information you can trust, you may give me an opportunity to help you. That's it. You don't have to ask for my help, but I want to offer it to you. Pretty simple. Go to radiotaxman.com right now and sign up for my email newsletter. That's radiotaxman.com. It's free. Together we can fight back now.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles, may be why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95, to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Edens 36 Lake Cook Road to the junction, the Kennedy and hour 13, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now jams solid between Des Plaines Avenue and Racine due to an earlier accident. 73 minutes in, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson, a normal Monday. It's an hour, 3:55 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Damp this morning, otherwise cloudy most of the day. High 57. Partly cloudy 43 overnight. Sunny and 61 tomorrow. 50 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You may not have been familiar with the man they call pro-life Spider-Man until last week when he scaled the 600-foot-tall Accenture Tower in Chicago without a rope or any safety equipment.
Yeah, I saw it happening online, and I'm afraid of heights, so I could barely look.
All right.
It's too much.
I guess you won't be accompanying him on his next gambit, but
no.
Yeah, he was arrested after reaching the top, as has happened before when he's scaled tall buildings, because that's frowned upon by law enforcement. So why does he do it? Well, let's get perspective on his climbing prowess and the rationale of choosing buildings, tall buildings in big cities, as he's done. Mason Deshaw joins us now, pro-life Spider-Man. Mason Deshaw, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on, Dan.
So, talk about your climbing first before we get into sort of the politics and cultural piece. I love these documentaries on free climbers, like the guy who climbed El Capitan. What's your background in climbing? Your affinity for that?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, but when I was 16, the whole family moved out to California, and we had to find something else to do other than hunting and fishing because there's not a lot of that in L.A. So my dad bought me a rope and a harness, and next thing you know, I'm climbing with guys like Alex Honnold. And, actually, I've never climbed with Alex, but of course, his good friend. And and next thing you know, you just run with it.
Sure. And so how did you transition from, the bucolic settings of mountains and the climbing community to the more insular climbing community in urban centers?
Yeah, so that's a funny story, but I was sitting on my phone one day scrolling on Instagram, and I seen this photo, and it was a photo of a baby. She should have had a bow on her head, but instead she sat in a Ziploc container. She was dead with a crushed skull and one eye left open, and I looked this baby in the eye, and I felt as though if I didn't do something to stop this evil, because here's this baby who's just murdered, laying in a Ziploc container like she's takeout food. If I didn't do something to stop this murder, this abortion, then I felt like, honestly, what kind of man am I? And so I came up with this idea. It kind of adapted what Alain Robert was doing back in the 90s. He had climbed the New York Times building to protest climate change and hung up all these banners all over the building. And I said, what if, instead of doing this for climate change, we do this to raise awareness about what's going on in America with abortion and raise money for women in crisis pregnancy. So I raised money for an organization called LetThemLive.org, and every time we climb a skyscraper, we save a baby from abortion. We help their mother with the rent, the medical bills, all of the expenses that she needs so that she doesn't need to get an abortion, because it's like 73% of abortions happen because of financial circumstances. Say your car breaks down, you have a $1,000 payment. How are you going to drive your kids around? So we help these women, we save their children, and it all ends up working out in the end, very, very thankfully.
So when you climbed when you climbed the building the other day, I didn't, because I watched the news coverage and never knew that you were doing this to help raise money to stop abortions. How can you get your message across better? Or do you just think that the mainstream media doesn't want to hear why you're doing it?
So normally it's just flooded with interviews, and I can't get my message across. I've been on Tucker Carlson. I've been on a lot of mainstream conservative news sites, and I'm able to share that around, as well as on Instagram. Like, if you go on my Instagram, I'm sharing victim imagery. People are able to see my little infographics that I've created that's talking about the pro-life history. This time around, basically what had happened was the Friday before the climb, I got news about what had happened in Israel, and your initial reaction is, oh gosh, like, pray for these people. But what I do is so dependent on the news cycle that it had kind of killed all of the news for the climb. But that said, the reason why I didn't delay it was because this woman that we were helping, Sierra, that's her name, she needed the help really badly. And if we hadn't done this climb, I think she would have gone through with her abortion on Saturday. But it was a decision that I made to do it anyways, regardless of the news cycle, and just trusting in God that we would be able to help this woman, and thankfully we did. And we were able to save her baby from abortion.
So how does it work? So you live stream the climb on Instagram, and it draws attention to the organization, and you get people to donate because of the attention that is drawn to the larger cause by what you're doing. Is that basically the gist of it?
Yeah. You come on shows. I come on shows like yours, and I talk about what I do. I talk about abortion too, and it's sort of like, how do I make what I do not about what I do, and more about who I do it for? That's the goal, because at the end of the day, we want to try to get these news people to talk about abortion, to bring it into the media. And how do you do that? It's very hard when you have an entire industry trying to cover something up. But turns out all you have to do is climb a skyscraper.
Well, how did the members of Chicago Police Department's SWAT team receive you when you summited the Accenture building?
You know, there's some good cops and there's some bad cops. Along the way, there was someone banging on the glass, and I had told them, like, hey, guys, like, I'm trying to focus here. Like, please don't do that. And they, I heard through the window, and I have it on video, they had said, I don't care. That said, like I said, there's good ones and there's bad ones. When I got to the top, the police officers were very cordial, very nice. It wasn't like, hey, you're going right to jail. The first thing they say to me, are you okay? And they try to help in any way they can, of course.
Are you okay?
Well, did you go to jail?
It's not like, are you okay? Did you get injured? It's like, are you okay? What the hell is wrong with you? I think is what they meant by, are you okay?
Oh, no. It's, do you have any injuries? You need medical care. And so I think there's some good guys. There's some bad guys, of course. That's with anybody, any organization you deal with. But very, very wild ride. I'll just say that.
Well, did they deem you, a threat to the community, or did you get, released because of the Safety Act?
Yeah, the Safety Act comes in handy.
The Safety
yeah.
Act, yeah.
Here's the funny thing. Thing. It is not actually against the law to climb a skyscraper. They never thought of the law, right? So I usually get arrested on grounds of trespassing, which I have not committed because the way trespassing works, you have to be warned. And if you're 500 feet up a building, you can't really be warned. And so you have to act in your own safety to get to the top, in which case you leave right away. That said, what I tell people is that it is a commandment. Proverbs 24 says, rescue those who are being deaf. And so it is our duty to rescue these children who are being murdered, because that baby that I saw sitting in that Ziploc container, she was one baby of 70 million that have been murdered in this country legally under the law by abortion. And so we have to do these radical things to save these children.
It's interesting. I don't. You're probably too young to remember him, but maybe just because of the precedent that was set. I mentioned Spider Dan. His name is Dan Goodwin. About 40 years ago, he climbed the Sears Tower, 110 stories, despite strong winds and some interference from firefighters, actually. And he had a purpose, too. People forget the purpose, but his climb wasn't for sport. It was to draw attention to inadequacies in high-rise firefighting and rescue, seriously, because 6 months earlier, he had witnessed a fire at the MGM Grand that killed 85 people. So, I mean, I'm just saying, he made a spectacle of himself for a cause the way that you're doing, too. So it's different causes, but it's one way to get attention, I suppose.
What I'll say about that is a completely silly idea that someone can climb a skyscraper to be essentially this firefighter. It takes a while to get up the building. Like the Accenture Tower took me almost an hour to climb. The Twin Towers fell in about 20 minutes. I mean, that's just insane that you'd think that you could be this superhero and climb a climb a building to pull people out of a fire. And honestly, Spider-Man Dan Goodwin, he doesn't impress me in his style of climbing. He was a great rock climber, separate from the skyscraper climbing. He used clamps and all sorts of devices to get up the wall, who I'm impressed by. And a lot of people in Chicago don't realize just how great of an achievement this was. But my great friend, Alain Robert, and the guy I kind of stole this idea from, he climbed the Sears Tower in 1999 with no clamps, no anything, just his climbing shoes and a chalk bag. And in my opinion, as someone who does this, that is the greatest athletic achievement of all time. There is nothing that surpasses that, because it's 1,700 feet of climbing with absolutely no rest.
All right, let me see about the. All right, so the free climber bias. I get it. No, I get it. I watched that documentary on the guy who free climbed El Capitan, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. But so what about, we had a few years ago, we had Nick Wallenda of the Wallenda family, of course. He walked across a wire from Marina Tower to the Leo Burnett building. Any high level tightrope walking in your future?
Oh man, I got to be honest. I've done some. It's called high lining. It's like slack lining between two trees. It's a little different from tightrope, but same idea. I've done it across mountains before, and it is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it looks terrifying.
Not my thing. I get out there, and you're sitting down on this line, right, and it starts bouncing, and you just never feel comfortable, and you have to stand up and get across it, and my heart just leaves my body.
Well, is there anything in your future here? Maybe scaling John Fetterman or something? What's next for you?
Well, what I say is, so long as there are babies who need to be saved by abortion, then I will keep doing this. I don't like climbing skyscrapers, if I'm being honest. It's not fun. I don't find enjoyment in it. You have to go to jail usually afterwards and deal with courts, and it's just not the way to climb. But I do it because we can save these children. And I tell people, they always ask me, like, oh, what if you fall? What if this happens? And I say, look, these babies are being murdered. And what you've been promised is, by Christ, is eternal life. So why are you scared of death? Why are you scared of falling? Why are you scared of being persecuted? The only thing we should fear is God. And the question he asks us, and that's, what did you do to save my children?
What's the name of your organization again, the organization you climb for that provides assistance to pregnant women in need?
Yes, so it's called LetThemLive.org. They are one of the best organizations that I've seen. And last year we were at 400 babies saved. This year we've doubled that number, and we save almost one baby every day. And so we're very thankful. I'm very thankful to them and the work they're doing. So if you guys want to go support me, you can go support them. All the money goes to the women, and that's all we ask, is that we can save a baby and help a lady.
Mason Deshaw, Pro-Life Spider-Man. Mason, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Stay safe up there.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
With Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You know what the key to scaling the Accenture building of the Sears Tower, Willis Tower, you know what the key is?
What? I mean, he has great shoes.
Don't look down.
Oh, God. I mean, did you see that video? I can't. Oh, I'm so afraid of heights. Oh, my God. We got no safety net.
I still remember that Nick Walinda thing because I was at a friend's place in Marina Tower right underneath the wire, the high wire, and it was not a particularly good weather night.
No.
It was insane.
Oh, I didn't know you were staying there. Yeah, I watched that TV and I could barely watch. It's like watching a horror film. But he made it across safely. So
he did. That's the good news.
Yes. It could have gone wrong so quickly, too.
Yes, indeed. Dan Proft, that's me. I'm here for Northridge Prep again because Northridge Prep is a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students. And when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. The result is the boys just love Northridge, as do the teachers. I actually had a cigar with Neil Fagan, the headmaster at Northridge, last week, and we were talking about the teaching program and how you can have great academics that come out of the best schools go into teaching, but then you need to be taught how to be a good teacher in the classroom. And so that's one of the things Northridge is doing, is teaching other teachers to be better teachers. They've got a whole practicum there in addition to their curriculum for the boys. So it's pretty cool stuff. Northridge has been educating boys for nearly 50 years, and one of the things that stands out is their commitment to partnering with parents. You hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge it's real. The parents can't stop talking about it. They've built a community that really works together. Raising kids is challenging, but at Northridge you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house this Sunday, October 22nd, for boys in grades 6 through 12. You can register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, the open house for Northridge Prep is this Sunday, October 22nd. Register at northridgeprep.org.
Is your old basement dragging you back in time? It's time to break free and embrace the future with Forever Remodeling. Whether you're yearning for a cozy family haven, a home office, the ultimate game night arena, or even a stunning new basement bathroom, Forever Remodeling has you covered. Don't let your basement linger in the past. Make it unforgettable. Contact Forever Remodeling today at 847-809-3355 or visit us online at foreverremodeling.com. We're your partners in crafting extraordinary stress-free basements.
All right, can't wait to do it. Take Balance of Nature. I think I'm going to do it in the 8 o'clock hour instead of 8:30 because I need that energy. I love Balance of Nature. 31 whole fruits and vegetables. You know, you're supposed to have 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day. Did anybody even have one yesterday? I don't know. I think I had one cauliflower. That was it. But I take Balance of Nature because then I have increased energy. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, you're stronger and you think more quickly. So be one of the cool kids. Get your energy back. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. First timers get free shipping and 35% off their first preferred orders of fruits and veggies. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
This is good news, maybe exactly when you need it too. Right now, switching to Medi-Share can save you even more than usual on top of what you'll save each month by becoming a member of Medi-Share. So many people are looking for a healthcare solution right now, especially given how inflation is affecting us. And Medi-Share is the affordable, reliable alternative to health insurance. The typical family saves about $500 a month. You might save even more. And Medi-Share is a Christian community that's been sharing each other's healthcare costs for 30 years now, and they're making it easier than ever. Apply by October 31st, and you can save an additional $150 on your first month. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just tell them the promo code SHARE to get your additional savings. Maybe now is the time to make the switch, like more than 400,000 people already have, and start saving. Here it is. It's 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Does the big guy, Mr. 10%, President Biden, really understand what happened in Gaza? We'll have excerpts from his 60 Minutes interview and get reviews from Cliff May, Foundation for the Defense of Democracies at 8:08.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Suspected measles case identified in Cook County and a Will County landlord charged with killing a boy. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Israel and Hamas still at war. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
There's been multiple terror attacks last night that were thwarted, but we've managed to continue to go after their main forces.
Israeli Defense Forces Major Doron Spielman just told that to Fox as they keep targeting Hamas inside Gaza, where hundreds of thousands of Palestinian civilians are in shelters with food and fuel and medicine supplies low. About 2,700 Palestinians have died. 1,400 Israelis have been killed. There are also some Israelis and Americans held captive.
The Israeli military telling us today 199 families of hostages inside Gaza have been notified that they're being held by Hamas. The Israelis working around the clock to try to find a way and either rescue them or launch that ground operation.
Fox's Trey Yingst near the Gaza border. Iran is warning Israel to stop bombing Hamas in Gaza or else.
Iran's foreign minister is saying, quote, I want to warn the war criminals and those who support this entity before it's too late to stop the crimes against civilians in Gaza. Any step the resistance will take will cause a huge earthquake in the Zionist entity.
That's Fox's Brooke Simon. President Biden issued his own warning to Iran and the Hezbollah militant group it backs in Lebanon.
Don't.
There are reports Iran helped Hamas plan the terror attacks in Israel that started the war, but the president tells CBS 60 Minutes.
I don't want to get into classified information, but to be very blunt with you, there is no clear evidence of that.
House Republicans plan another vote tomorrow, trying to elect a new speaker after Steve Scalise failed to get enough support last week. Now Jim Jordan is trying to sway moderates to back him. Ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy backs Jordan, just told Fox.
We've got to find a way to get back instead of allowing 8 people for personal purposes to join Democrats to disrupt America.
Referencing the 8 House Republicans who voted him out almost 2 weeks ago. There's another hearing today in a Trump criminal case, the federal one related to the 2020 election. The judge will consider a gag order the special counsel wants to limit what the former president can say. America's listening to Fox News.
.50 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A landlord in Will County is facing murder and hate crime charges after authorities say he stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death and severely wounded his mother. It happened in unincorporated Plainfield Township over the weekend.
He loved his parents. He loved his family and his friends. He loved life.
Deputies located Joseph Chuba sitting outside on the ground with a laceration to his forehead, and inside found Waidia El-Fayumi and his mother Hanan Sheehan with stab wounds. Both were sent to a nearby hospital where the boy later died.
We consider ourselves to be a real part of the American society. We are here to build. We are helping. We are doing the best of what we can.
Joseph Hanan is an uncle of that child. Meantime, heightened security and a police presence continued at synagogues and Jewish neighborhoods around the Chicago area. A number of synagogues were closed on Friday. Many synagogues that did hold in-person services reported very high attendance under extremely tight security after threats from Muslim and other communities. In other news this morning, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will visit the southern border with multiple aldermen and women this week. A woman is hospitalized after being stabbed inside of a business on the city's northwest side. It happened around 6 p.m. at a laundromat in Logan Square. Charges are pending against a person accused of shooting a security guard at a Red Line station on Chicago's south side. It happened Saturday in the first block of West 79th. Bears lost in more ways than one yesterday. They lost to the Vikings 19-13. May lose Justin Fields for a game or some time after Fields dislocated a thumb. We'll get a further report on his availability against Las Vegas next Sunday as soon as today. The news service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you ever have. Visit healthinsurancementors.com. 630-674-1551. 804. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Pharmaceutical chain Rite Aid says it's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and that it's going to begin restructuring to significantly reduce its debt. One major problem was that it was too small and too poor to pay the costs of lawsuits related to the opioid epidemic. It could not find the money to settle hundreds of federal, state, and private lawsuits alleging it oversupplied prescription painkillers, and this filing puts all those suits on hold. As part of the restructuring, the company is going to close more of its 2,100 stores and name a new chief executive. And Taylor Swift's Eras Tour becomes the highest-grossing domestic concert film ever, pulling in between $95 to $97 million during its opening weekend, according to distributor AMC Entertainment. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Eating Balance of Nature fruits and veggies is not replacing the fruits and vegetables in your diet. It is fruits and vegetables in your diet. Ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables have I eaten today? Have you eaten 1, 2, 3, and from how many varieties? Most people are less than 3. Our body is an amazing chemical laboratory, and when you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is 31 different fruits and vegetables prepared in a way to give you the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry. Let Balance of Nature help you supplement your fruit and vegetable intake for a lot less money and a lot less work and a much higher quality of life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A whole generation knows little to nothing about our nation's darkest day, 9/11. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute launched to right this wrong by educating kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos in the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full curriculum units, a speakers bureau, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts, and Russell F. Siller Memorial Scholarships for kids of program recipients. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
808 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of MyPillow. And the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel set is back in stock. Proprietary technology and that soft feel you look for in a towel. For a limited time, 50% savings with promo code Liberty. Kennedy is at 1 hour and 9 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Watch out on the inbound side of the Ike. Stop and go due to an earlier accident between Des Plaines Avenue and Racine, and delays inbound on 290 between York and North Avenue. It's 80 minutes, an hour 2390 into the old post office. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Damp this morning, otherwise cloudy most of the day, high 57. 50 right now. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Mr. 10%, the big guy, President Biden, on 60 Minutes last night, fielding softballs from Scott Pelley, like this one. Please, Mr. President, tell us why you should run again, giving the big guy the chance to go full John Lennon.
Are you sure that you want to run again?
Yes, because I'm sure. Look, when I ran, I said the world's at an inflection point. The world's changing, but we have an opportunity to make it. So imagine if we were able to succeed in getting the Middle East put in place where we have normalization of relations. I think we can do that. Imagine what happens if we, in fact, unite all of Europe and Putin is finally put down where he cannot cause the kind of trouble he's been causing. We have enormous opportunities.
Imagine all the people. Yeah. How are those things going now in your first term, the imagining? Imagining also with respect to the Middle East, since he brought it up. He had this to say in describing why Israel shouldn't, quote-unquote, occupy Gaza after this. Listen to his characterization of Hamas.
I think it'd be a big mistake. Look, what happened in Gaza, in my view, is Hamas and the extreme elements of Hamas don't represent all the Palestinian people. And I think that it would be a mistake for Israel to occupy Gaza again. But to going in and taking out the extremists, the Hezbollah is up north, but Hamas down south is a necessary requirement.
Are there moderate elements of Hamas? The extremist elements of Hamas. Which are the moderate elements? No, that follow-up was not asked, unsurprisingly.
But when asked about Iran, were they involved in this? Because that's what everyone wants to know. Who's funding Hamas?
Don't come across the border. Don't escalate this war.
That's right.
Is Iran behind the Gaza war?
I don't want to get into classified information, but to be very blunt with you, there is no clear evidence of that.
At this point, no evidence that Iran is behind any of this.
Correct. Now, Iran constantly supports Hamas and Hezbollah. I don't mean that. But in terms of did they have foreknowledge? Did they help plan the attack? There's no evidence of that at this point.
No, of course.
Listen to out of both sides of his mouth.
Listen to the moderate elements of Hamas. I guess this is who Joe Biden would call a moderate element of Hamas. One of the spokeshumans for Hamas, Dr. Ghazi Hamid, getting a very friendly interview from a CNN reporter. Well, actually, he's the Jerusalem reporter for Al Jazeera, but he was on CNN on Face the Nation to offer this friendly interview of a Hamas spokeshuman who said this. This must be what Joe Biden is relying on.
Did you receive support from outside? Did you receive support from Iran?
No, it is just a decision taken by Hamas only.
You received no support from any country outside of Gaza?
No, never.
Yeah, I mean, and if you can't believe a Hamas spokesman, who can you believe, right? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Cliff May, President of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Cliff, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to be with you guys.
Could you help me, because I'm just not familiar with the moderate elements in Hamas? Could you identify those for me and the president?
Yeah, there are no moderate elements. in Hamas. Of course, that's not true. All you have to do is read the Hamas charter. The Hamas charter talks about very clearly about the genocide of Israelis, the genocide of Jews. It's not coy at all. Hamas has said always since its creation in the 1980s that there can be no negotiation, that the only solution to what they call the Israel problem, the Jewish problem, is wiping them out. Palestine must be free, meaning Jew-free, from the river to the sea, meaning from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. And Hamas has been backed, of course, by the Islamic Republic of Iran, and lavishly so, particularly over the last few years, I have to say, because since President Biden came into office, the Islamic Republic of Iran has gone from a very impoverished state to a fairly wealthy state, and that's because sanctions weren't maintained or sanctions weren't enforced. So I can give you a lot more about that, but there's no question that Hezbollah, which is absolutely the Lebanon-based foreign legion of Tehran, and Hamas, which is very much the client of Iran, they all three work together. All three meet together in Beirut, and we know that training, weapons, money, and probably plans and maybe participation. I can tell you why. I think that in an operation like this had a lot of involvement from Tehran.
Yeah, so it's difficult to imagine this Middle East peace that President Biden is talking about when he won't speak honestly about the collaborators involved in the terrorist attack in Gaza. What about that larger question and his point? I know that Israel shouldn't essentially retain control of Gaza after whatever comes post invasion. What should Israel do vis-a-vis Gaza if and when they eradicate Hamas?
Yeah, the Israelis left Gaza 100% in 2005. Every soldier, every farmer, every grave, every synagogue was removed. And after they withdrew entirely and said, okay, if the problem was the occupation, there's no occupation, what was said by Hamas and by others, we're still being occupied. How are they still being occupied? After a couple of years of getting attacked, they tried unsuccessfully, we now know, to keep weapons from getting into Gaza. But food went in, medicine went in, electricity has been and is still being supplied from Israel, all of the above. The Israelis do not want to occupy Gaza for any length of time. They are going in because they intend to diminish and actually destroy the military capabilities of Hamas, to kill their leaders or capture them. If they capture them, they'll sit in prisons. I don't think they'll be executed. Israelis don't execute. They executed Eichmann back in the 1960s, the Nazi war criminal. In general, they don't. If Hamas would simply surrender, that would be the end of this war. That's all they have to do is come out, wave a little white flag. They'd be taken into custody. Their daughters wouldn't be raped. Their sons wouldn't be killed. The Emperor Hirohito was able to surrender to save his people, but of that we can't expect Hamas to do that. So what happens? It's not entirely clear. This thing we talk about constantly called the international community. There are all these Arab states that have funded Hamas, that have funded the Palestinians, and there's the Europeans who have funded either directly or indirectly Hamas. Put them in there, put the technocrats in there, begin to reestablish some kind of basic economy, but Hamas cannot rule anymore. The Israelis, no, they made a mistake by thinking they can rule, it doesn't matter. Every few years they attack us, we go in, we mow the lawn, then we leave, it'll all be okay. That's not going to happen again. But no, Israeli troops do not want to be a year from now patrolling the streets of Gaza.
Well, wait, lost in this conversation are the hostages. I mean, we have 30 Americans that are dead, 13 Americans who are unaccounted for, and over the weekend, President Biden even called the family of a woman. She's from Evanston. She and her daughter are hostages. They have confirmation of that. But what is Biden going to do? I mean, he said on 60 Minutes, he said, "I'll help out anyway if we can find them."
Yeah, what that suggests is he doesn't have intelligence as to where they are or whether they're alive. I haven't seen signs of life. That's the other thing that Hamas could do. You want to end this war? People who are saying the plight of the Palestinians and so hard for the Palestinians, if Hamas would release the hostages, just that, the Israelis would hesitate. They would give them pause. If they'd release the hostages and say, we're not fighting anymore. The war we started, we're not fighting. We surrender. That would be it. Totally.
So that's not going to happen. And so then the question becomes, is Hamas expecting, and should we be expecting, escalation with Hezbollah's formal involvement, Hezbollah with a much bigger cache of weapons than Hamas?
Yes, and the Israelis are wondering about that too, and probably wondering about that in Tehran. As I said, Hezbollah is the foreign legion, Lebanon-based, so also in Syria, also in Iraq, other places, of the mullahs in Tehran. And they don't want to waste that resource. They want to utilize that resource. For one thing, that resource is a conventional deterrent to Israel if Israel were to come in and either try to destroy the nuclear weapons facilities that have been building up or to decapitate the regime. It's an interesting thing that Hezbollah didn't attack immediately at the same time as the offensive that came from Gaza, a surprise two-front war. But it's possible that if the Israelis go in on foot into Gaza in strength, that at that point Hezbollah would attack. And the Israelis have to worry about that because the Israeli infantry gets enmeshed inside Gaza, and there's a war with a much more potent, a much more powerful enemy in the north. It's not so easy to get those troops out and bring them up to the north in a timely fashion. So this is what the military planners of the Israeli War Cabinet have to figure out.
And part of the problem, it seems to me, in terms of like recognizing what we're dealing with here, is this bromide that's bandied about that suggests that, look, the Palestinians are peace-loving people, and Hamas is not representative of them. Well, actually, technically, Hamas is representative of them because Hamas controlled Gaza, and that was what the Palestinian people chose. And I'm not saying every Palestinian person is a member of that terrorist organization or supports them, but, you know, from public opinion polling, Hamas seemed to enjoy widespread support among the Palestinians in Gaza.
Yes, that's right. Hamas was voted in, but it was one man, one vote, one time. That was, back in 2007, I believe it was. And there's been no votes since. But the polls do show support. Part of the reason for that support is that Hamas would attack Israel, and Israel would respond very, very carefully. They would try very hard. They still do. Not to harm civilians. So before bombing a building where command and control was, they would both call people in that building. They would drop leaflets. They would drop dummy bombs on the roof. They would say, "Get out of that building because we're going to destroy it." The people in Gaza who were being indoctrinated with Jew hatred and Israel hatred could say, all right, listen, it's inconvenient, our life goes on, but at least we're, but Hamas does fight them. It could be different this time. It's pretty hard to conduct a poll at this time. But if the economy and the life in Gaza is totally destroyed because of Hamas's attack, they may change their mind, but who knows? Right now, it's very simple. Israel is right now they're focusing on the north. They're saying to the people in the north, just head south. We don't want you to be hit. Hamas is saying, no, you stay put. We want you, and essentially they're saying, we want you to get hit. Your corpses will be very useful to us for public relations purposes. But anybody who doesn't want to fight Israel goes to the south. Even better, they should cross over into Egypt. Sinai is a big place. The UN agencies, particularly UNRWA, which deals with nothing but what they call Palestinian refugees, put up some tent camps, feed them, take care of them, give them medical help, and they wait out the war. Egypt doesn't want them to do that. Hamas doesn't want them to do that. Hamas wants them to stay. Hamas needs human shields. And people should understand the use of the human shield is a war crime under international law, under American law specifically. If every time a human shield is used, you blame the Israelis rather than Hamas, you're encouraging the use of human shields. Yeah, people need to understand that.
Domestically, we have a difference of opinion between the two parties in Congress over Palestinian refugees. Democrats want to provide sanctuary in the United States for Palestinian refugees, and House Republicans and Senate Republicans, too, like Marco Rubio, are leading the charge against that. We want to be a welcoming place to people fleeing persecution, but as you say, that's the right posture? That's your viewpoint, that Egypt should be the point of sanctuary for Palestinian refugees?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we do need to secure our border, and, and I don't think this is a good time for additional. There's a piece in the Wall Street Journal. I commend your readers. It's by two of my people at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. The refugees don't want to go back to Gaza. They may want to. Why shouldn't they? But if they don't want to, they can stay in Egypt. Or how about they go to the various countries that have contributed to this terrible situation over the years by supporting Hamas? How about some of them go to Algeria? How about they go to Iran, which is the key instigator of all this and has been for years? Iran can't take them in. Why not? How about they go to Qatar, where Hamas leaders live in luxurious hotels? That would be good. How about Kuwait? There's a lot of places they can go in the Middle East. People speak the same language they do. Have the same culture and religion as they do. There's no need for them to come to the United States. They can go back to Gaza, where they can be taken care of once they have somebody taking care of them whose primary concern is not killing Jews, but the well-being of the people of Gaza. That could happen. It is not for America to pick up the pieces.
He is Cliff May, the president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Cliff, thank you as always.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
All right. Might be raining. Yes, sunny tomorrow. But how did you do over the weekend? Saturday, we got hit pretty hard, that all-day rain. Is there water in your basement or crawl space? Well, guess what? You don't have to live like that. Permaseal can help you. You don't have to put up with water in your bedroom or your kitchen, so don't put up with it in your basement and crawl space. They can help you out. Call them now for a free estimate. 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325. They've been in business for 41 years, still family-owned and operated, and they stand behind their work. 800-421-SEAL or visit permaseal.net.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES. Or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
At TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights, we offer several complimentary reports proactive investors should take advantage of before year end. Our Social Security Optimization Report shows couples how to possibly get up to $200,000 or more in additional lifetime benefits. Our Retirement Account Tax Optimization Report shows how to minimize the tax bill on your 401k and IRAs. This report could help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars or more in taxes over your lifetime. Our risk analysis makes sure your portfolio is in alignment with your goals. The Protect and Grow written plan brings all of these items together. Call now to request any of these free reports before the end of year rush puts proactive planning for this year in the rearview mirror. Contact TJ Stearns Financial Planning today. The first 10 callers right now will also receive a free copy of the new book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. Call now to receive your free retirement report and book. 847-749-2295. That's 847-749-2295. Or visit tjstearns.com.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, why the lawlessness at the border is a sign of America's strength. RealClearMarkets.com's John Tammany will explain. 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
50 degrees. 8:30 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Israel today as fighting continues between the IDF and the Palestinian terror organization Hamas. Blinken arrived in Tel Aviv this morning.
Israel has the obligation to defend itself against these attacks from Hamas and to try to do what it can to make sure that this never happens again.
It comes as Israel is said to be readying for a major offensive in Gaza a little over a week after militants carried out surprise terror attacks that led to a declaration of war. GOP presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis says Hamas and not Israel is to blame for any Palestinian civilian casualties.
Israel has put out warnings to civilians about where Israel is going to conduct operations and has told civilians there to leave the area.
Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Rite Aid filing for bankruptcy this morning. The pharmacy chain filed for Chapter 11 protection Sunday, facing thousands of lawsuits linked to the opioid crisis. Attorney General Merrick Garland is opening a federal hate crimes investigation into the death of an area child. The 6-year-old boy was stabbed Saturday. His mother also injured in the attack that happened on Saturday at a home in unincorporated Plainfield Township after that woman called 911 claiming her landlord had attacked her with a knife.
He loved his parents. He loved his family and his friends. He loved life.
Investigators found Wadia Al-Fuyumi and his mother Hanan Shaheen with stab wounds. The boy was rushed to a hospital where he later died. Detectives believe both victims may have been targeted by Chuba for being Muslim and over the ongoing conflict involving Hamas terror attacks on Israel. State Representative Abdel Nasser Rashid.
This was directly connected to the dehumanizing of Palestinians that has been allowed over the last week by our media, by our elected officials who have lacked the moral compass and lacked the courage to call for something as simple as de-escalation.
Rashid giving his opinion yesterday. Meantime, heightened security and police presence continues at synagogues and Jewish neighborhoods throughout the U.S. Many synagogues in this area that did hold in-person services reported very high attendance under extremely tight security after threats from Muslim and other communities. In other news we're following this morning, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will visit the southern border with multiple aldermen and women this week. Fire broke out at a century-old church on Chicago's southeast side over the weekend. The fire began at the historic Advocate United Church of Christ, located at 103rd and Avenue L, Saturday morning around 4 a.m. No one was in the building. Senior pastor, the Reverend Malcolm Griffith.
Ironically, even we was here to meet the building code inspector. We just passed the inspection.
And so everything was fine.
The church right now appears to be a total loss. Bears lost in more than one way yesterday. Justin Fields was hurt in the Bears' 19-13 loss to the Vikings. It appears to be a dislocated thumb. The Bears fall to 1-5. The Bulls play host to the Raptors tomorrow, while the Hawks visit the Maple Leafs tonight. The News is a service of Staples stores. You can count on every print project being perfect. Right now, get $100 off your print purchase of $250 or more. Offer ends 11/4. Make your small business print and marketing materials stand out with perfect prints guaranteed at Staples. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This decade may be the worst one yet to retire in. That's why you need the most current retirement information. For more than 30 years, Bob Carlson has been helping investors stay ahead of turbulent markets and money-grubbing politicians. Now, more than ever, you need to subscribe to Bob Carlson's Retirement Watch. Bob makes sure his Retirement Watch readers are getting independent advice on all aspects of retirement. It's advice you won't get anywhere else. When you subscribe to Retirement Watch, you'll get 12 months of the newsletter. You'll also get 5 model portfolios. Plus, you'll get immediate access to the Retirement Watch private website with tons of special reports. You'll also get an online spending calculator to help you deal with inflation. Plus, exclusive conference calls with Bob Carlson, answering your retirement questions live, all for as little as $49.95. Try it for 30 days, and if you're not satisfied, cancel and we'll refund your money. Sound fair? Sign up today at retirementelders.com. Retirementelders.com. That's retirementelders.com.
Is life sciences your lifetime passion? If so, you could have the career of a lifetime. Automated Systems is searching for you. If you have experience in any of the following areas: industrial automation, PLC, HMI programming, equipment, facility, process, or packaging engineering, commissioning, validation, project management, tech transfer, quality assurance, FDA compliance and auditing, you'll love any of these positions. Understanding the pharmaceutical and medical device industry trends and regulatory requirements is essential. Automated Systems is hungry for people with analytical and problem-solving skills. Automated Systems also promotes work-life balance with flexible work arrangements and competitive benefits so your career can soar while you're enjoying a fulfilling personal life. Don't miss this chance to make a difference and do what you do best. Go to HireASI.com now. That's HireASI.com to explore an incredible career with Automated Systems Incorporated.
Hey, this is Brant along with Sherry here. And so you hear me doing these spots for MediShare, and Sherry actually helps me with them. I get people actually in person saying, okay, Brant, for real, do you recommend this? Like, yeah, for real, I actually do. I'm not just saying stuff. So family, friends ask me about it. I'm like, yes, you should look into this. It's really a great option for a lot of people.
That's what I tell people. My experience has been, MediShare has been fantastic for me.
Yeah.
It's so different from health insurance in a lot of great ways, honestly.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people who've switched tell me that. It's the same reaction. They're very, very happy with it, and it gives them peace of mind and saves them a lot of money.
I would tell people, look into it.
Yep. So really, for reals, if you want to talk to them, they're great to talk to. I think you'll be impressed and happy you looked into it. So you do the phone number. I'm actually tired of doing all the phone numbers.
Okay.
Call now.
844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Nice job.
Thanks.
8:37, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Let's get an update on the roads. And right now, 26 on the Edens inbound, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at 84 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Traveling on the Ike this morning, it's an hour from 390 into the old post office. An accident being pulled out of your way between Harlem and Laramie. Dan Ryan in 34 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Solid traffic on the Jane Addams eastbound just after Higgins Road all the way to the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A damp morning, cloudy for the afternoon, high 57. Partly cloudy and 43 overnight. 50 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A little stop, look, and listen on electric vehicle sales, since that's all the rage among the industrial policy types on the left. Ace of Spades had a good write-up on this. The EV transition has stalled out, and except for Tesla, EV manufacturers are seeing their growth fall. In some cases, sales are collapsing. Take Ford. Sales of the F-150 Lightning electric pickup were off about 46% during third quarter due to slower than expected demand and downtime at the plant, reported CNBC earlier this month. Ford sold just 6,400, round numbers, F-150 Lightning EVs in the third quarter of 2022, but sales in Q3 of 2023 fell to 3,500, which annualizes to only about 42,000 a year, but Ford executives are still presenting at like they're going to sell hundreds of thousands of EV pickups per year. That doesn't seem to be what demand is indicating. As for downtime at the plant affecting sales, Ford dealers are currently choking down a 97-day supply of Lightnings nationwide when the ideal supply of vehicles on dealer lots is 60 days worth. Meanwhile, Ford has suddenly canceled all further deliveries to dealers of 2023 model year F-150 Lightnings that are not already pre-sold. Ace of Spades translates, what would have been year model 2023 electric pickups are now going to be year model 2024 electric pickups after these additional quality checks they're speaking of generically, to ensure there's not a glut of unsold prior year model Lightnings in 2024. There's still going to be a glut, but the dealers will at least dealers will be sitting on a glut of year model 2024 as opposed to 2023. Also, with demand for EVs collapsing, there's also decreasing demand for the lithium-ion batteries that propel them. Don't tell the Chi-Coms locating to Manteno. What of all these grand demands of politicians at the federal and the state level, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, that you shall sell these many and we shall transition from fossil fuel burning vehicles by X date? For more on this and other matters economic, we're pleased to be joined again by John Tamny, editor of RealClearMarkets.com, director of the Center for Economic Freedom at FreedomWorks, and author of The Money Confusion, How Illiteracy About Currencies and Inflation Sets the Stage for the Crypto Revolution. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Breaking
Can you hear
up.
us okay?
Can we have John there in a clear line?
Yeah.
There we go. John?
Yep.
Okay, good. What about the EV revolution? It seems to have hit a wall.
It'll be interesting to see. Markets seem to think there's something to it. Tesla, I think, is still the most valuable car company in the world, which could be an indication that electric cars will gradually win the hearts of consumers, or it could be that what Tesla is going to do ultimately is going to spread across all sorts of different consumer lines. Think Amazon. Amazon began as a book company, but became something much more. And so it appears there's something to it. Obviously, you and I, in our perfect world, the government wouldn't be trying to put its thumb on the scales. Let people decide to drive the streets. It's apparent that people really like these cars. I've rented them a lot. I find them a bit difficult because they're difficult to find chargers for. Mm-hmm. But,
you know what you need? You know what you need on the charger thing, John? I got the solution for that next time you rent one.
What?
Is get one of Jennifer Granholm's staffers to drive ahead of you to reserve the charger so you don't have to wait in line with the rest of the hoi polloi.
Yeah, no, that would certainly help. And so, I think there's something to Elon Musk is brilliant. And you can't say that he's just a crony capitalist because, as you note, lots of car companies have gotten into this too, and they haven't seen the bump in their stock prices. And so there's got to be something to it. What it is, I don't know. At least as of now, they're kind of difficult to own if you want to drive a lot.
I remember when Americans used to have a choice. Remember that back in the day where we, as consumers, could choose what we wanted?
Yes, and I get the feeling you're not going to take gasoline-powered cars out of the hands of Americans. I've seen, as you have, all the decrees that it's going to happen. Americans like their cars. Good luck to that. They've been making decrees about all sorts of things for as long as we've been alive. I don't think electric will replace. If anything, we're going to see more gasoline-powered cars alongside lots of electric. But we'll see.
I've got an idea, maybe Ford. I'm not looking for a job, but maybe just to help the CMO there at Ford, get Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift to endorse the EVs, because the people seem to have fallen in love with those two falling in love.
It's our new royalty.
Yeah.
It's a great world we live in when we get to focus on these things. We must be a rich country, and we should
Exactly. Well, I mean, I
don't even think that endorsement would help.
I just hope it's not infatuation. I hope it's the real thing for those two. You know what I mean, John? We don't need to be hard-hearted economists about this. All right. On other matters, you wrote an interesting piece, a little bit counterintuitive, as you're wont to be, that this chaos on the border that has been well documented is actually a sign of America's strength. Explain.
Well, let's look at a couple of things. No one's lining up to get into Haiti. No one's lining up to get into Peru or Honduras. People risk their lives to get here because this is where the opportunity is. If you look back to 2020, the border was empty. If you look back to 2009 to 2014, when the economy was weak, more people crossed back south of the border than came in. And so what we see is when the U.S. is booming, people risk everything to get here. To me, the border is just an obvious thing. When you try to centrally plan what is a market phenomenon, you get chaos. We've seen that throughout our lives. Nothing new here. Regardless of one's view of immigration or whether there should be a wall or not, let's not deny what that is at the border. That's government trying to centrally plan a market phenomenon. They're coming here for work, obviously. And how we know that is they don't come here when the economy's weak.
Well, I mean, it's a mixed bag. When you have 2 million people apprehended at the border, you've got a mixed bag. You have some people that want opportunity. You have some people that may have less admirable motivations, as we've seen with the incidents of criminal activity, for example. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, of course it is. And so in my perfect world, there would just be an agreement that people have to announce themselves along the way. And then at which point those who don't announce themselves would be more obvious. You could pick them out. You could pick out the people who are trying to hide their arrival. Imagine if work were legalized here, the border wouldn't be crowded in the first place because employers around the U.S. would be flying the workers in. They'd be bringing them in by train. They'd be bringing them in all sorts of ways that they can't do it now. But until we recognize that you can't solve if you think immigration is a problem, the only way to fix it is to crush the economy. And so until we do that, and Americans thankfully aren't willing to do that, people are going to risk it all to get here. I find that a beautiful thing. I find that a happy story. Other people feel differently, but let's not deny what this is. This is central planning of what is a market phenomenon.
Well, in part, but I mean, you're not saying you can't have a robust economy and continue to be the global economic superpower and also have a secure border. Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
Why not have a border? But once you try to limit the flow of people to where there's opportunity, you're not going to have a secure border. As in, the quickest way to secure the border is to legalize what's obvious. U.S. is abundantly full of opportunity, and people are going to keep risking their lives to get there until we recognize this. Now, think about it if we legalized work. Would people be bringing grandma? Would they be bringing mother? Would they be bringing the kids? No. They're coming here for jobs. If you legalized the process whereby people could come in, they wouldn't bring the whole family. And so you wouldn't have all these externalities that we have. But we're never going to see that because both sides, it's political gold to politicize this migration of people. And so both sides will continue to take either side of it and will never solve it.
Well, do you think there's a possibility that, blue state governors are taking in all these illegals because they need to increase their base? Because you look at all the blue states and people have moved out by the tens of thousands.
Well, I think for one, how do they need to increase their base? So is suddenly California going to go red if we close the border? I mean, please. Secondly, they're not legal to vote in the first place. Third, they don't even want to vote. They're here for jobs. And we know that. Again, were the borders full of people in 2020 when Republicans locked down the economy, when Donald Trump said that we're going to lock down the U.S.? No.
Well,
because there was no opportunity here, because people were losing their jobs by the tens of millions. When Obama was president and he was overseeing a slow economy, the border was similarly empty. We have the border is full when the economy is growing. This is the land of opportunity. We either have to accept that truth or we can go the other way.
You wrote recently about the Egyptian magician Bob Menendez. That he is a symptom of a larger problem in D.C. I mean, he's allegedly a symptom, of course, because he hasn't been convicted of anything. But him and his wife alleged to have represented the Egyptian government and essentially acting as a Manchurian lobbyist for the Egyptian government, failing to disclose that he was doing so. So what is that a symptom of in D.C.?
It's a symptom of the longer you serve in D.C., the better you get at politics, the better you get at moving money around, the better you get at moving influence around. And so, to me, the easy solution, I don't think it will solve everything, is to limit time in office. Bob Menendez couldn't have become the paid-for guy by Egypt in his first term as senator. He became valuable to countries like Egypt as his time in Washington grew, and he learned how to basically orchestrate things in Washington. And so my answer is always make sure these guys are here for a brief time so that they can get back to the real world. If so, they don't develop the skills that make them attractive to those who want to ply them with money.
You also wrote another relatively counterintuitive piece about federal largesse, federal waste, suggesting that maybe there is an upside. We just got through this, government shutdown theater not so long ago, which we do routinely, once every other year or so. And you suggest that, all of this money wasted by the federal government for many, 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 many generations, there's an upside to it. What's that?
Well, the upside is, and to be clear, I don't like Social Security as a bad idea. I think Medicare was a horrifying idea. But I always hear from the libertarians on my side, isn't it awful? Oh, my gosh, now just the interest on the debt alone is going to be $1.1 trillion or $1.5 trillion. Well, okay, perfect. So we've failed miserably twice with Social Security and Medicare, and we're paying it off. That means there's fewer dollars for them to dream up other new horrible ideas, domestically and globally. And so I don't like it. But when I hear people say, oh, well, isn't this terrible? The debt's going to swallow the federal budget. Well, that's kind of a good thing, right? If they're paying off debtors rather than dreaming up new programs, wouldn't we prefer that? Because we know the new programs will be disastrous and grow and grow and grow. If this is a barrier to them intervening and ruining our lives, let's have the barrier.
Yeah, but aren't you forgetting about the printing press?
I'm not forgetting about the printing press, because the printing press is a popular thing that people say, oh, yeah, they're just printing money. But why haven't we seen the dollar collapse based on that? Because no one believes it. The dollar is the world's currency. Is it perfect? No. In my perfect world, the dollar would have a gold definition or some kind of stable currency definition. But as evidenced by the fact that the world uses the dollar as its currency, as evidenced by the fact that lenders around the world line up to lend to the United States, no one expects the U.S. to use the printing press. Because if they did, markets aren't stupid. No one would buy U.S. debt.
And so what's your reaction to those who worry about this debt load that we're carrying, both in terms of actual and unfunded liabilities, and that makes us susceptible for the dollar to be replaced by the BRICS, who are trying to cook up their own global reserve currency?
Well, there's no evidence of it right now, and I think the evidence supporting that is all the debt. If we had a debt problem, we wouldn't have a lot of debt. What we have is a too much revenue problem, which, as you know, from any business or government, a business or government or individual known to have a lot of money or to be taking in a lot of money can run up lots of debt. And so if you want to fix the debt, you don't do it as the idiot supply side are saying, hey, Laffer curve. That just gives more revenue to the government. And you don't do what the left-wing Democrats say, hey, we need to raise taxes. What you need is less revenue so that they can borrow less. It's kind of a basic thing. And I find it so frustrating that people on my side keep saying, look at the burden we're leaving to the grandchildren, the debt. Have they lost their minds? The burden is not the debt. The true burden on the grandchildren is the size of the government they're going to inherit. I don't want a balanced budget. I just want shrinking government. And so that's the true burden we're leaving them, yet no one talks about them. There's this horror of government spending that's out there that we could vivify so easily. But the people on our side instead focus on deficits that markets plainly don't care about. And how we know they don't care about it is investors around the world line up to buy the debt.
John Tammany is the editor of RealClearMarkets.com, president of the Parkview Institute, senior economic advisor to Applied Finance Advisors. His latest book, The Money Confusion, How Illiteracy About Currencies and Inflation Sets the Stage for the Crypto Revolution. John, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer. Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to go to a provider you can trust. I trust my friends at Low T Center, where I've been getting my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, you take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, notice weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T level tested, with results back in about 25 minutes, as I said. So what are you waiting for? Log on to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Proft sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
There's no ignoring it. Americans know they've been lied to by the ruling class, that politicians want more control over their lives and more taxes for nonsense. Who voted for this, and how do we get back to normal? It starts by being informed. But who do you trust when the media censors information and colludes with those in charge for their own political power? Breakthrough Ideas is a beacon of clarity in the storm of politics. At Breakthrough, Jeannie Ives and her team follows the legislation and the money and reports back to you so you know who's on your side. Elections matter. Be an informed voter. You can do that by listening to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. right here on AM 560. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com to sign up for the newsletter, register for upcoming events, and stay informed with fresh content. Then connect with them on social media and share information with others. So together, we vote out the radicals and vote in common sense. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Oh, I just did it. Took my Balance of Nature. Love it. 6 capsules a day. I crack mine open into warm water and drink it down, and voila. I know I'm going to have a good day because I know without it, I'm not going to have a well-balanced diet to eat because I don't have time to get 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day. It's not going to happen. 800 is the number to call. Wait, I do know the number because I have a memory there because I say it all the time. It is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. Get your health back. Be proactive. Try it. If it's just for, one bottle, try it. Some people notice a difference right away. Others, it takes 2 weeks. Others, it takes a month, but it will make a difference. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, do you want me to send some pictures of Justin's wedding?
Oh, please. The slideshow.
Yes.
I want to look at it in my free time.
We did have fun, though, so thanks so much for all your support, even though you weren't there. We felt your presence, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I try. I try
Yes.
to provide psychic support if I can't be there.
Thanks to George Hoffman, who's in for Justin Kosick this week, and to
Because
Quinn
he's
McCarthy.
on his honeymoon.
Oh,
Cute.
so sweet. All right, now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A Will County landlord is charged with the death of a boy and the wounding of a mother. A security guard shot at a CTA Red Line station. A suspected measles case has been identified in Cook County, the first one in quite a while. Bears fall to the Vikings. Blackhawks come up short against the Canadiens. They're in Toronto tonight. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
There are 199 hostages in Gaza. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Israel up that number this morning as it wages war with Hamas terrorists a 10th straight day.
There was some talk of a ceasefire this morning, but much of that has collapsed as Israeli artillery positions behind me continue to fire into the northern and central part of the Gaza Strip.
Fox's Trey Yanks near the border in